Let me show you.
What's up, y'all? We just got the latest chapter of Kaiju number 8, chapter 118, and man, this chapter was something else. We learn a little bit more about the past of the Kaiju that's within Kafka. We learn a bit more about this ancient Kaiju that they're all facing off against in present day, and just knowing what this present Kaiju, this ancient Kaiju is capable of is insane. And Kafka is forced with a decision he has to make in this chapter. A decision that I myself don't think I could have made it in the way that he did. I don't think I would have had the guts to do that. To turn your back on all the goals that you have planned out for the future in order to handle the situation at hand, it's really scary. And I know some people may feel like he had no choice, but he was given a choice. And he chose to save everyone. And to me, that's why he's an MC. Kafka, he's different from most main characters. Like, he didn't hesitate. We're about to get into this chapter, man. Make sure you subscribe and hit the bell for all notifications. And let's get into it. But we got it where we see the ancient Kaiju. Well, not the ancient Kaiju, but the Kaiju that's within Kafka. And it's thinking to itself, like, we could do nothing. We were like insects. We were powerless. And you see that this Kaiju that's within Kafka is a combination of everyone's anger and sadness and bitterness that were killed in the past against this ancient Kaiju. And it's where their emotions and their sorrows is so much that Kafka is even beginning to feel their emotions. He has tears running down his eyes, blood as well, because he feels the sorrow that this Kaiju within him is actually experiencing. You got it where this Kaiju insect is laying on the ground just repeating over and over the shame, the shame, the shame, meaning it feels bad that it wasn't able to destroy this ancient Kaiju from the past. And you have it where the guy wearing the armor appears before Kafka, and he says nearly 100 days long, that ancient beast was fighting them in the past before it ran dry of its power and had to retreat underground. That is so you're telling me this thing wiped out every human in its path for 100 days? That's insane. And I wonder, now that it's evolved over time, it's gotten even stronger, I wonder if it would run longer than 100 days if given the opportunity. Like, that's in 100 days of just this thing just running on a rampage. That's some scary ass stuff, yo. You can't say that ain't scary. But you got it where this guy wearing the armor pretty much tells Kafka, like, yo, he used his heart as a core, as to hold their grudge to sink into a single mass, and they used it until they were able to become a physical form. And he's like, yo, here, look at this, observe. And he's looking at Kafka saying, like, yo, you chose to fight. You chose to stand in front of this creature, even though you didn't have a chance of beating it. And you got it where Kafka's like, yo, why are you showing me this? And he was like, yo, as you are now, Kafka, you can't defeat this creature. We need to form an even deeper bond and truly become one. And if you think about what we've seen in the past with this series, we had number 9 tell him, like, yo, your bond, you're very powerful considering your bond isn't deep. So this right here, that was like an example letting us know how powerful Kafka will become in the future. You have it where this guy wearing the armor, he shows Kafka his heart. He tells Kafka, this is your heart. And they actually, this Kaiju within Kafka, like the people, all these people that's combined together over time that lost their lives in that battle back in the day, they say that they were planning on returning Kafka's heart to him once this creature was defeated. But now that their core is destroyed, Kafka's faced to make a choice. And this right here is scary, where I say, I don't know if I could have made this choice that Kafka chooses to make. You have it where the guy wearing the armor says, accept this as your heart and revert to being a human. That's Kafka having the chance to become back normal, or turn it into a core and become a beast. That's the choice that Kafka has to make, either to turn human or turn into a beast. You got it where this guy in the armor tells him, like, yo, if you choose to become a beast, you will no longer be able to revert back into being a human. it would go against the wishes of your caring friends, meaning these guys didn't want Kafka, especially Reno and Hoshina. They didn't want Kafka to use his his kaiju powers. They wanted him to not resort on that, and that's why they wanted to become stronger so that Kafka wouldn't have to use his power. Especially Reno. He made that statement plenty times throughout this series. And you also have it where this man in the armor tells Kafka, you'll also be betraying your younger self. And that's because Kafka's younger self wanted to be a part of the defense force. He wanted to be one of the best people on the defense force. And if he turns into this beast, he'll never have that chance again because he won't be human. He will no longer be human. And you have it where this guy in the armor asks Kafka, like, yo, do you still wish to fight? We did not want to force this choice upon you. I'm very sorry, but now you must choose. And then you have it where Kafka is looking at the very damaged and wounded kaiju from within him laying on the ground. And Kafka goes to say, we were the same all along. We couldn't do things to help people in situations. You've been fighting this battle this whole time by yourself, talking to the injured kaiju laying on the ground. He's like, yo, compared to what I've been carrying on my shoulders, you've been doing so much. And he's talking to the kaiju within him. He's like, yo, I was able to make it this far because of you. And Kafka is realizing how he was able to save his friends on the battlefield due to the power he got from the kaiju. And you have it where Kafka says to him, thank you. It's my turn to repay you. Let's go. It's a revenge match time. And that's Kafka pretty much saying like his friends, maybe even himself, would have been long gone had it not been for this kaiju selecting him. And I hope we find out the real reason they chose him. A lot of us is just speculating. It's because Kafka himself, looks very similar to that man from the past, the man wearing this armor. And then you got it where the guy in the armor tells Kafka like, yo, there will be no turning back. Kafka instantly says, yeah, I don't mind. I'll fight. The guy in the armor turns Kafka's heart into a new core. And then he says, then take it. He places the core on the chest of Kafka. Kafka pushes it within his body. And you see that Kafka is undergoing some type of transformation. And that's how the chapter ends. And he'll never be human. He just gave up his humanity. Man, I wonder what's going to happen. Now, this is just based off of what we got in this chapter. But I believe later on, with modern technology, there's a chance that Kafka could obtain his human body again. Because just like the way the people used the armor or the kaiju body parts back in the day, it's completely different from how the defense force use it this day and age. So maybe there's a way where they can help Kafka be able to revert back to his human form. I don't think it's likely, but maybe there is. It might even be where the samurai who's wearing the armor actually said this because Kafka, needed that bond or connection in order to become, fully fully fused with this core. Maybe that was a lie to deceive him in order to see if he had the mental state to go through this transformation. We don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But let me know your thoughts down below. And I'll catch y'all in the next one, man. Peace. What's up, y'all? We just got the latest chapter of Kaiju number 8, and man, chapter 119. My boy Gin, yo. Oh my gosh. He killed this chapter. Don't get me wrong, Hoshina did his thing. Kafka did his thing as well. But just like Hoshina, just in the part where they're like, yo, you're going to fry your brain. And he's like, so be it. Yo, you talking about it, dude. When I got to that panel, I was like screaming, like, ah! Yo, that shit was the coldest junk in the whole chapter. I love that panel. Yo, Gin is just, it's like Gin and Hoshina. It's like they always fighting for that #1 spot in my eyes, like in my heart, for my favorite character. Don't get me wrong, I love Reno, I love Kikaru, you know what I'm saying, Kafka as well. But them two, is something about them two characters, and just how in this chapter they were just going all out against this supreme kaiju. I don't even know if we have a name for this guy yet, but just how they were pushing one another further and further. Like, you had moments where your boy Hoshina was slipping up, and you have Gin say something like, my bad about my phone, but you have something where Gin would just be like, hey, yo, you need to step it up. And then you have moments where Gin is slipping up, and you have Hoshina saying like, yo, you need to move faster. I just really love this chapter, and the fact that Gin did something in here that we've never seen done before, you know. And they said it happened once before with the general. I don't recall this. It might be a flashback that they might get to later on, but I definitely don't recall this. And if you guys do, you can let me know in the comment section below. But you have it where your boy Gin he overrided his suit system. They were overheating. He's like, yo, I'ma keep going. And yo, that shit was just epic in my eyes. I know I'm a little amped, but yo, this was a great ass chapter for me. But we about to get into it. Make sure you subscribe, hit the bell for all notifications, man. Kaiju #8 is that. I really hope the series ain't ending, because I feel like this might be the be all end all type of villain, but I really hope that's not the case. Let me know how y'all feel. Like, do y'all feel it's reaching its final stages? And what do you think about Kafka, him not being able to go back human? Do you feel like he made the ultimate sacrifice? Do you feel like it's going to be a way to overcome that? I'm just very curious to see how that actually turns out. But you have it where the chapter starts off, and you got Kafka just pretty much within his mind of the kaiju body, and you just see all the souls of all those people who passed. They're just saying the shame, the shame, the shame. They're all going inside Kafka. He's screaming in an angry rage, and I'm not gonna lie, the art and detail just looks amazing. Then you have the old samurai saying like, yo, he will be able to contain a grudge spanning over 400 years. Come on, let's go kick his ass. And then you got Kafka saying like, yo, I'll shoulder this entire burden. Oh my gosh, yo. And the fact that Kafka is willing to sacrifice it all. And I love the detail that Mina, you know, she's like just been observing Kafka since he's been known to be Kaiju #8. How she's able to look at Kafka and says like, yo, last time he was knocked unconscious, last time he was defeated, in the past he reverted back to his human form. Kafka right now is still in this kaiju form. Like, this is something different. Like, what is going on? And then you have it where she's like, yo, I just saw him move a little bit. And it's because she's not giving up on her friend. She's remembering that childhood friend, Kafka, who's willing to do whatever it takes to help out the people around him. And then you got it where you have it where she's like, Kafka hasn't given up. You see the destruction and explosion going on in the background for your boy Hoshina and Gin facing off against the Supreme Kaiju. And man, this panel is just crazy, man. And you got it where Hoshina is just saying like, yo, this is getting insane. Like, this guy's able to keep up with us. He's fighting on par with both of us like we're nothing. Had it not been for Gin's ability, his retina #1 weapon, they would have been taken out long ago. But thanks to Gin, they're able to keep on fighting. They're able to keep moving. But then you have it where Gin, he realized like, yo, despite how I'm able to read his movements, it's very strange that he's able to avoid direct hits. How is he doing this? And then that's when Gin realized it's a combination of a bunch of kaijus. We already know that this is a assimilation of kaijus over the year. And the fact that Gin, with his eye retina, he's able to read the body movements to predict his opponents, you know, the fluctuation in the bodies in order to predict its opponent movement. But you have it right here where this Supreme Kaiju has so many different independent kaijus within him. Gin is trying to read them, and he's not necessarily reading the main body. He's reading different kaiju's reactions within his body, which is kind of making it hard for your boy Gin to predict. And you have it where Gin was like, yo, this is why. It's so many bodies. It's tens. No, it's hundreds. It's hundreds of bodies within this kaiju. That's why I'm having trouble reading it. But you have it where Gin is still able to pinpoint the kaiju that he needs to pinpoint in order to guess the movements of this supreme kaiju. And he's like, yo, I got it. He ends up slashing this kaiju. He's still putting marks again. At the same time, you got it where Hoshina jumps in as well, and Hoshina is hitting this kaiju, as this supreme kaiju as well. But you got it where both of them are maxing out. They only got a few more seconds until they overheat, and they're like, yo, this is their last chance. This is their last stance to take down this supreme kaiju. And you got it where they're both giving it their all. These panels, oh my gosh, just look amazing, man. You got your boy Hoshina doing the 12-layer strike, and if you know, you know. That's the attack he did when he faced off against number 10. And the only thing we were missing in this chapter is the interaction from number 10, just like the last time when they showed, you know, these two facing off against the Supreme, you know, the last chapter, it was a couple chapters ago when they was first started facing off against the Supreme Kaiju. You had it where number 10 was like, hey, yo, I mean, forget the Supreme Kaiju, I want to fight this dude. You know, number 10 was referring to Gin. So I wish we would have got more interactions of that, but granted, this is such a serious moment right now. But while they're facing off against this Supreme Kaiju, you have it where both of their suits overheat. Well, not Hoshina so much, but Hoshina's getting close. But you have it where Gin, his suit's overheat. You see his eye, his retina number 1 goes back to normal. You got it where the people in the office is like, yo, he's done for. But next thing you know, you see his retina eye activate once more. You got it where one of the scientists in the office is like, yo, a control override? What's going on? And then you got it where, yo, I'm sorry, this was an epic moment. You got it where the dude's like, yo, you gotta stop, Gin. If you keep pushing yourself, your brain is going to fry. Then you got Gin like, yo, then so be it. And I don't know why, this moment right here like gave me vibes from the old school Ninja Turtle movies. I think it came out, dang man, it came out so young, so long ago. I know I didn't see it in theaters because of how early it came out. Ninja Turtles 2, Secret of the Ooze. There's a part where Super Shredder turns into the Super Shredder, and he starts like knocking down all these pillars, and he's facing off against the turtles. And then like Leonardo jumps up, he's like, yo, you gotta stop doing what you're doing. You're gonna bring down this whole structure on all of us. And you had Shredder like hold Leonardo by the neck or something. I can't remember exactly how he grabbed him, but he grabbed Leonardo and he was like, then so be it. And he just threw it in, pretty much the whole building collapsed on him. That was what this moment reminded me of, just like, yo, Gin just shouting out, so be it. I was, like I said earlier, I was screaming when this happened. I'm still amped right now, as you can see. But you got it where the scientist that's observing this, he's like, yo, the last time this happened is when the director general did it. And I'm very curious, when was this? Like, was this against the battle against number 9 before he got assimilated? And maybe I'm just forgetting. I might need to go back and reread it. I haven't read through the series every time I buy a new volume, but I do need to pick up the current new volume. So I'll reread it and hopefully I see that part. But you got it where Gin says like, yo, even if I meet my end today, the next soldiers in line are more than prepared. I'll buy them as much time as I can, even if it's only a second, and grab any information I'm able to from this battle, from this thing. And you got it where the Supreme Kaiju is managing to catch the strikes from your boy Hoshina and Gin. And then you got it where Hoshina's like, yo, all I have to do, or I mean, you have it where Gin says, all I have to do is take down this baton and pass it to the next person and hand it off to the next in line. Isn't that right? And then you have it where Hoshina jumps in the air and he ends up getting stabbed by this Supreme Kaiju. It looks like it's not direct. It doesn't seem to be a fatal wound, in my opinion. It doesn't look like he got the heart, but it looks like it's pretty damn close to the heart. You got the blood coming out his eyes. You got it where he's on the verge of being taken out. And then Hoshina himself, it looks like he's going in to try to help him. And then that's when this Supreme Kaiju smacks Hoshina out the way, and Hoshina makes the statement, it doesn't matter if he's able to see the weak spots if his body can't keep up, and that's because his body is burnt out in this battle. Not only that, the destruction that Hoshina caused from being smacked into the ground, it looks crazy. He's probably out of commission as well. Then you have it where Gin is just sitting there the Supreme Kaiju puts the markings on Hoshina not Hoshina, but on Gin, where he's about to rip Gin in half and kill him. And you got it where Gin says, I passed it, as if he already knew. And that's when you see Kafka coming in. Like, Gin, I wonder if Gin was able to see the battle going on and he was able to see the movements of Kafka arriving to the area before we ourselves, as the reader, were even arrived. Because the way he looks in that direction is as if he knew Kafka was coming. Next thing you know, you have it where Kafka punches this, the Supreme Kaiju, and you got it where Gin is about to pass out, but he says, show me your skills, Kafka Hibino. And that's how the chapter ends. Man, this was a chapter. But again, when it comes to Kaiju number 8, every chapter just leaves you wanting the next chapter. But this was insane nonetheless. Solid 10 out of 10. Oh my goodness. I really hope this series isn't going to end. I hope it continues even after this Supreme Kaiju is taken out. Maybe he's part of something even bigger, a bigger collective, and we just have yet to be aware of it. I hope that's the case, but let me know y'all thoughts down below on this chapter, and I will catch y'all in the next one, man. Peace.
Not Kaiju number 8. My name is Kafka Hibino.
What's up, y'all? We back at it with a new chapter of Kaiju number 8, chapter 120. Ayo, I promise you, these chapters go by so fast for this to be a bi-weekly series. Like, yo, by the time I get to the end, I'm like, yo, this the last page? Like, nah. And then they always end on a cliffhanger. Ayo, there's a lot of series that does cliffhangers, but I feel like Kaiju number 8 does it on every single chapter, where you get to that last page and you're like, yo, I need to know what happened there. Oh man, it's the last page. Like, yo, I feel like it happens every damn time. Now, I'm sorry I'm a little amped, but this chapter was goated. It had a lot of great moments where it got me like, yo, when it gets to this season in the anime, it's gonna cook. I know it's gonna be crazy. But before we get into this review for chapter 120, make sure you subscribe, hit the bell for all notifications. Greatly appreciated. Now, I made a video 2 weeks ago on the day we was supposed to get a chapter, but we got that, picture page chapter. I made a video saying that the transformation was coming and it will be here by the time we get to the last page of the chapter. I told you guys that, and some of y'all was like, nah, man, I think this is it, man. I don't think he's getting a transformation. But as you can see, Kafka, your boy, the MC, has got a new transformation, and that shit look crazy. I love the fact that he's breaking out of his old form into a new form. It's kind of like he was breaking out of a shell, kind of like he's shedding his skin. I love the way they did that at the end of this chapter. And it kind of makes me wonder, when you think about moments when Kafka was like in deep battles, like when he was fighting the general, when he was fighting number 9, when it was him and Gin, there were moments where Kafka was fighting and his mask was starting to crack. It was starting to
So much power.
crack around him. And I wonder if he was on the verge of actually going into that transformation back then, because they show his mask like crack in this chapter, and the next thing you know, it breaks off, it shatters, and then he has his new form. So I'm very curious if maybe he was close to going to that transformation back then when he lost control a few times, especially when he was up against the general and the kaiju just wanted to destroy the general because it assumed he was number 2. I'm very curious about that. You guys let me know y'all take on that. But in this chapter, we get a lot of great moments, man. And the way Kafka like kind of talks to his younger self, and you see that this whole time, Kafka's younger self has been, he blamed himself for everything that happened. Even though he shouldn't have, because he was just a kid, that weighed heavy on him his whole life. And I imagine when he gave up on his dream to join the Defense Force before Reno, kind of talked him back into it, he probably was like feeling more guilt than anyone else around. Like, he's like, yo, man, I watched my parents' shop get destroyed, the place my mom worked at, the place my grandma liked to take me, Mina lost her cat. Like, he probably was just, he probably was in a great depression that we never even noticed, at the beginning of the series. I knew he was like sad that he couldn't become a Defense Force officer before he met Reno, but I never took the time to realize how much he probably was really suffering. And in this chapter, you realize it, because ever since he was a kid, he's been holding back this guilt of not being able to do anything to help. He's like, all I can do was notify the proper authorities that a kaiju was in the area. But in my eyes, that was enough. As a kid, like, he did enough as a kid. That's just how I feel about it. But yeah, he's been suffering this whole time, and none of us was aware of it. Well, some of y'all, you're probably a lot smarter than me. You probably picked up on it, like, yo, Kafka, he's aching right now. He's aching. But let's get into the chapter, man. Again, subscribe, hit the bell. So the chapter starts off where you have this one line, this one panel, speech bubble, and it's Kafka saying, I'm heading out, Mina. You know how impactful those words probably was to Mina, because her whole life she was always the one heading out into battle because Kafka wasn't able to join the Defense Force. So for her to actually hear that, it probably put her like, yo, for once, I'm not the one on the front line. It's Kafka now. And I wonder if she's going to actually come to terms and just be like, yo, I have more than just, it's more than me just liking Kafka. Like, yo, I have feelings for him. Because I feel like they're going to end up in it. And they're going to end up together. Kikuru's way too young. And, Mina's the only other female interest in the series. And it might just be one of those series where there is no love matchups at the end. Who knows? But you have it where, Kafka is instantly gone. Mina's looking away. All you see is the blood that came out of Kafka's body. And looking at that panel when it's just Mina and she's around all that, he lost a ton of blood. It's crazy that he was able to get back up. But you see, he gets back up. He manages to punch, the ancient kaiju. Again, I hope we get a name at some point for this kaiju. And you got it where everybody's looking. They even showed a little girl who Kafka saved in episode 2, I believe, of the anime. You got her just like surprised that Kafka's back on the battlefield. You got the people in the office surprised. You got it where your boy Hoshina's looking from afar. And then they just show this code. This panel was just so cool. Hey, look, man. And I know it's a lot of Hoshina mains out there. I know it's a lot of people who like Hoshina the most. And for me, I'm up there with them. Hoshina's just that guy. But you can't say they don't be giving Gin like some of the coldest stuff to say. And it be simple stuff, but given the circumstances, it just make it so cold. The fact that he's sitting there on death's door, he just got stabbed by his heart. I don't know if it was, it's got to be by his heart because he's still alive. And he says the line like, yo, I passed the baton. And then he just lifts up, his head is hanging, leaning over. Then he lifts up his head. You see the blood running from his eyes and he's like, yo, show your skills, Kafka. Like, I don't know why. That shit was goated. That shit was goated. That was like, ooh, Gin. Like, it was something so simple. And then it had me like just jumping like, yo, Gin is just that guy. Yo, I'm sorry if I'm loud. Gin is just that guy. Yo, Hoshina, look, man, Hoshina's cool. He's cool. You know what I'm saying? I like the little short blades and everything when he go in. I like how he can switch to the long sword. But yo, Gin is he's just that guy, man. And you got it where Kaiju number 8, Kafka was able to push back the ancient kaiju. And you see the way Kafka is just standing there, yo. The way Kafka is standing there, it's crazy because he looks a lot slimmer than he normally does, at least in my opinion. And he's just standing there looking at this ancient kaiju straight in his eyes. They got many eyes. But you got it where the people in the office are shouting. They was like, yo, number 8 is back on the front lines. And you got it where, the one scientist, the one doctor, he's like, yo, he had no vitals. Like, what the heck is going on? Then you got it where the new director is like, it's a miracle. There's no way we can explain it. It's just a miracle. However, that doesn't mean, the tables have turned in our favor, which is smart that the general is thinking. You got everybody else shouting and cheering, but the new general, he's like, yo, shit, that don't mean nothing. We could still lose even with him on the battlefield right now. And it shows that the general has been through some tough times. Like, yo, he's not going to get all giddy and shit right away. It's going to take some convincing for him to be like, yo, we got this in the bag. I mean, and it is what it is. But you got it with Kafka standing there. The ancient kaiju puts like those, signs, those ruins on him, and it instantly like split apart Kafka. You see that blood is coming out of him, and you got it where everyone's looking. They're like, oh shit, Kafka, he's in danger. But you see that we're able to see his core. His core was exposed from the ruin attack from the ancient kaiju, but then it rapidly heals really fast. You got it where Hoshina's looking at Kafka like, yo, what the hell? Like, Kafka, what did you do? And it's crazy that Hoshina has that much of a connection with Kafka, that he knows this is more than what Kafka is normally capable of. He's looking at him like, yo, you did something, like you sacrificed something. And we all know, as the readers, in the previous chapter, he gave away his humanity in order to beat this ancient kaiju. He will never go back to being human. And it seems like your boy Hoshina is on the verge of realizing that. Like, he's the first to notice that Kafka is completely different. And then you got it where he's like, yo, there's something off about him. Like, yo, there's something different about him. And then you have Kafka speaking. He's not speaking to Hoshina. And that's how I guess the average reader might perceive it to be, like him talking to Hoshina. No, he's talking to all the lost souls inside of him. The souls that got defeated by this ancient kaiju 400 years ago. And you got it what Kafka is telling them, I know, I'll unleash you soon. Just calm down. And I feel like Kafka is only saying that to him because he want to make sure that none of his friends are in the area where they will be affected by this new unleashed power. That's just how I'm taking it. I could be wrong. But you got it where Hoshina is still observing and he's just like, yo, something's different. Something's wrong. Then you got like this kind of like Dragon Ball scene. It kind of reminds me of Dragon. I could be wrong, but well, I can't be wrong. It's just how I'm perceiving it. But you see the ghost is coming up around Kafka as he's like powering up. He's like intensifying his his kaiju strength. And I feel like they should have added a part where someone in the office should have been like, yo, his reading is such and such. I feel like that would have took it, made this moment 10 times better. Don't get me wrong, this moment was goated, but I feel like it would have made it 10 times better if you would have had somebody say, yo, his reading is 10 point something fortitude. Something like that would have killed this moment. Let me know if y'all agree with me. But seeing Kafka look like this with all the souls around him as he's like powering up or gearing up to, transform, this scene is almost identical to Dragon Ball Z. Some of y'all probably don't remember this, but there was a moment, I don't know if y'all familiar with Cell from the Cell saga. Cell was facing off against, I think it was Piccolo he was facing off against. He was facing off against Piccolo in his first form, and it was after Cell went around absorbing thousands of people to increase his strength. And when he got in front of Piccolo and Android 17, he started powering up, and you just saw the souls of all the people he killed just coming throughout his power up. Like, just like it. I mean, this panel looks identical, except it's Kaiju number 8 as opposed to being Cell. And I love that callback because for me, I felt like that was one of the dopest power-up scenes in all of Dragon Ball, and I feel a lot of people don't give it credit. But to see it here in Kaiju number 8, goated. But then you got it where Kafka starts reminiscing about his past, and he says on that day he was the first one to notice the kaiju. It was him. He reported the sighting. That's all he could do. But this giant kaiju, and I'm curious if this is one of the numbered kaijus or just some random kaiju. I'm very curious. But he said on that day, that's all he can do. And you see the Defense Force member, like just a regular squadron member, grabbing him and running him to safety. But he says back then, had I been a captain with a 99% unleashed combat power, or a master blade wielder, the strongest sharpshooter, or a superhero with a kill count of 10,000 kaijus, if I hadn't just been a helpless kid, my parents' house would have been taken down. His dad took many loans out to have the house built. The store that his mom used to work at, the store that his grandma used to take him to, the Mina's cat, all of those things would still be here. He couldn't save any of it, and you can see that he's holding on to that guilt. It's been weighing on him ever since he was a child. And he says like, yo, he couldn't forgive himself. It's crazy because he's just a child. There's no way he should be carrying that type of burden. It's not his responsibility. Now I can understand if he was older, he was an adult, he was fighting on the front lines and something like that happened. But as a child, there's no reason he should be carrying that guilt. And it shows you that, trauma follows you. Like even in the real world, like as a kid, the trauma we suffer as a kid follows us throughout our lives, and it develops us as we grow. So like, that's a situation where I'm surprised they didn't offer, and they, you know what I'm saying, I know it's made up, but you would think they would offer like counseling to these kids because of such a traumatizing event occurred in front of them. But you got it where you got the older Kafka looking at his younger self, and he says like, yo, he's talking to his younger self, which is, I love this inner monologue between, I guess, the two versions of Kafka. And he says like, yo, I know you don't want to go through this ever again. The path I chose after I grew up isn't what you envisioned, but at the very least, I'm going to go out there and fight in a way that makes you proud. And I love this. He's like, yo, this isn't the path that you've seen for us, but I'm going to go down this path in order to fight and make you proud. And then you have it where the older version of Kafka is walking off, but the younger one reaches out and grabs him, and he gives him that look like, yo, I'm proud of you. Now let's go together. And you got it where both of them are walking out there together, and it's like, let's go. And you just see both of them, like, I guess both of his past and present just merging together with this kaiju form. And you see the face starting to crack up. You got it with Hoshina, Gin, as well as Mina. They're all observing, and you get to this final page where Kafka just breaks the shell of his old form, and you see him in this new kaiju form, and it looks amazing from what I could see. It looked like he got a lot more spikes on his back. His face looks completely different. His mouth is a lot longer. His eyes look different. It also looks like he got 2 extra eyes on the side of his head, at least on one side, so it's probably 2 on the other side. His whole color looks a lot lighter and brighter, so I'm very curious what he's going to be capable of. And I just like the fact that you got in this final panel the pieces of armor falling off of Kafka's body, like the old pieces. I just think this is goated, man. I really love this chapter, man. My only gripe is how short it felt. Like, it was such a good read. Before you know it, I was at the end. This chapter was 23 pages, and it's crazy because it didn't feel like 23 pages. But I like the stuff we got with Kafka. I like that we found out a little bit more about his past, a little bit more about how much of a burden he's been carrying on him, you know, since he was a very young child, how he felt responsible for everything that was lost in his life, even though he was just a child. He had nothing to do with that. I really like how we got this deep dive into Kafka, and I like how they showed him speaking to his younger self, and his younger self was proud of what he became. And Kafka himself, I feel like he probably wasn't proud of himself because of how he only could use 1% of his combat power, and he would never be a part of the defense force had it not been for his kaiju abilities. But hearing his younger self tell him, like, give him that look like, yo, we got this, let's go. Yo, he probably feel more fulfilled than anything, and he probably is more than willing to sacrifice his life to stop this ancient kaiju. So I hope in the next chapter we get to see the Fortitude number. I also hope Kafka, like, I don't know, I hope we get to see him fight alongside with Reno. I still want Reno as well as Kikuru to join the battle. You don't have to necessarily let Hoshina or Gin join. I mean, you could have it where, you know, they did their job, they're overheated, let them relax and rest. But I would love to see Reno as well as Kikuru aid in this battle against this ancient kaiju. And I'm very curious what new abilities Kafka will have. And honestly, he might just add the Hoshina style to his new form and be unstoppable. But let me know y'all thoughts on this chapter, man. For me, it was goated, man. It was goated all the way through, man. I enjoyed it. But let me know y'all thoughts down below, man. If you like this video, thumb it up. Please subscribe. Hit the bell for all notifications. And I'll catch y'all in the next one, man. Like, yo, this Kafka, man, this chapter is so good, man. I like the fact that the author has a bi-weekly series so they could get time to rest and they don't have to suffer from the struggles that most mangakas suffer with the weekly schedule. But another part of me wants to be like, man, I need this shit every week. I need this shit every week. But hey, yo, hey, look, I talked on long enough, man. Let me know y'all thoughts down below. Make sure you share this to anyone who loves Kaiju number 8, and I'll catch y'all in the next one, man. Peace.
Nobody in the 3rd Division thinks of you as an enemy. Not one of us.
What's up, y'all? We just got chapter 121 of Kaiju number 8, and I'm pissed. I am pissed. This chapter had me so amped, so on the edge of my seat, so proud of Kafka. Like, it had me feeling all of those emotions just for me to get to the last panel and be like, damn, it's over? Like, this is it? Like, this is all we got? This chapter was such a big tease, man. Such a huge tease. It had me pissed, man. I don't know, maybe it's just me, but this chapter had me mad. Don't get me wrong, I love the material. I think they went in, like the panel, Kafka new form. Like, I was excited for all of that, but I wanted more. I don't know, man. It's crazy. This was 24 pages and it felt like 6. I don't know how they managed to do it. I don't know if the series is just that good where I'm breezing through it or what, but it just felt so quick, and it's just like, yo, I need more. And it's like, I gotta wait 14 more days to get the next chapter. But I will say, I'm proud of Kafka. Like, I love the way he acted in this chapter. I love how confident he felt. And I don't know if you guys noticed throughout this series, like, for the most part, Kafka really is unsure of himself.
I'm sorry.
Except for when his friends are in danger and he comes to save them. We seen this confidence when he came to save Kikaru. We seen this confidence when he came to save Reno, as well as, Haru, when they were together facing number 9 for the first time. We seen it when he came to help out the general. We also seen it when, he showed up to help Mina. So when he shows up to help his friends, he has a whole nother level of confidence in himself. Like, when he's just regular facing off against a kaiju, even in his Kaiju number 8 form, he doesn't really feel like he's confident in himself. But like right now in this chapter, yo, he felt like a completely different guy, other than what happened with the little drones. Other than that one part, it kind of, I guess that was the little comedy they gave us in this chapter. But other than that, Kafka really made me proud in this chapter. Now, I'm very curious about this ancient kaiju. We need a name for this, man. In the comment section, let me know what's the name of this kaiju. But we have it where we see him somewhat powering up, similar to what Kafka did, and Kafka has the souls floating around him. We see him do the same thing, and I wonder if he's like the counter or polar opposite of what Kafka is. If maybe he is a kaiju that's formed from hundreds and thousands of kaijus who were slain by humans. Their grief and their sorrow is what created this ancient kaiju. I wonder if that's the case, because with them showing all the souls and stuff, that's what I kind of thought of. At the same time, it could just be the souls of those that were devoured by this ancient kaiju. But I don't know, I wonder if it's the polar opposite, where these is the lost kaijus from over like maybe 600 or 800 years, compared to, Kafka being the souls of lost warriors for over 400 years. I'm really curious if that's the case. You guys can let me know down below, how do y'all feel about that? I still want more from this ancient kaiju, because as far as dialogue, it really hasn't said much. In fact, this chapter right here is the first time we really get any type of words from him, and it's just laughter because he's laughing at Kafka. So I wonder if more so, is it laughing because it sees the similarities, or is it laughing because it's like, yo, oh, you think you're a match for me, ha 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 type of thing. I'm very curious, because we don't know his personality well enough to know whether it was just a laughter to taunt or a laughter, because, maybe it was upset or something. We just don't know. As far as we know, I wonder if number 9 is going to make some type of appearance within this ancient kaiju, like he's going to come back to the forefront. I know he said he was gone, he was defeated, but I wonder if he's going to make some type of, appearance similar to like what the general did within number 9. So I hope that happens, but who knows. Also, one more thing I want to happen, because it feels like the series may be wrapping up. I'm not 100% sure. Let me know y'all thoughts on that down below. But I want to see the other captains get involved in battle. Right now, we've only seen 2 captains really fight, and that's Mina and Gin. I want to see if, what's Jugo, I want to see what he's capable of, because he has the ability like Haru, where his powers fluctuate in battle. And I also want to see Hoshina's brother. I want to see what he's capable of. I think it's one more other captain, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, I want to see what those guys are capable of, and hopefully we get to see them join a battle. Like, it'll be dope to see a chapter of all the captains fighting together with Kafka to take down this ancient kaiju. But we're going to get into this chapter. I rambled on long enough. I know you guys want to hear about the chapter. We're going to get into it, but make sure you subscribe, hit the bell for all notifications. Greatly appreciate it, man. Thank you guys for all the love and support on my Kaiju number 8 videos. And check out some of my other stuff. You might like that as well. But we have it where the chapter starts off where Kafka goes into his new form. You see you got the 2 eyes in the front and the eyes on the side. I think that's dope as hell. Honestly, it's a kaiju they showed us. I can't remember if it was Kaiju number 1. It might have been Kaiju number 1 where they had eyes around the face. And I like how Kafka kind of resembles that. I love the cracks all around him. I love how, I'm curious how this is going to look in color. So for my thumbnails, you guys have seen I made it white. I'm very curious if that's going to be the color they go with. But Kafka's new design looks goated as hell, especially in this chapter where we get to see the full detail and everything. You guys let me know how y'all feel about it. Do you like his new form or do you like his old form better? And then you just got, it's crazy because, and I spoke about how much I like Gin, and hopefully I'm saying this name correctly. Someone said I was saying it wrong. I apologize. But in this chapter, right, and you got this very first panel, and they're showing everyone's facial expressions as they bear witness to Kafka transforming. Now, everyone looks shocked. You got Mina, she's like, oh, what's this? You got it with Hoshina's like, what the fuck? You got it with the new general, what's his name? Kaiji, I believe his name, Kiji. You got it where he's looking surprised as well. But then you got it where Gin is there, and he's just standing there looking with the smile on his face like, yeah, damn right. Like, everyone else is shocked and puzzled. Gin got that look where he's just like, yeah, that's my boy right there. That's my boy right there. He about to go in. And I don't know why. I felt like that just that one interaction of him stole the chapter. You know what I'm saying? Don't get me wrong, there's other hype stuff, but I just love how whenever they put him on a panel, they make it where he's doing something where despite the situation, he just got to steal the show. And I love that, man. But you just got him looking with the blood running down his eyes, just like, yeah. And it jumps to the next page and you got Kurisu. He's looking like, yo, number 8 shape is changing. Like, yo, these waveforms, it's neither kaiju nor human. So yeah, this right here is really leading me to believe that Kafka will not go back to being normal. I was kind of having my little doubts, like, nah, he will be human again. But like this panel right here, like he's in a totally unknown form. And they saying like, yo, they can't really get any readings on it, the shapes and all of that. It's not kaiju nor human. Like, yeah, this is something completely new and the Defense Force isn't prepared for this. So Kafka may very well be stuck in this form like they were saying, but you got everybody looking, and then they say what I actually had as the title on my last chapter review, and now I wish I would have said it for this one, but it was just like unable to measure his fortitude. Like, yo, that shit is crazy. Like, yo, we can't even measure this shit right now. He is just that strong that we can't measure it. And you have it with a new, the new general, Kiji. He's like, yo, if we can't measure his fortitude, that means he's above fortitude 10. Like his fortitude is above 10. And he was like, damn, that's crazy. It's very similar to the ancient kaiju, which means the ancient kaiju is above 10. Now, up until this point, I don't believe they actually told us what the fortitude was of this ancient kaiju. And even more so, looking at this panel right here, I didn't even notice it's floating in the air as opposed to like standing on the ground. It's floating in the air. That's gotta be the first time I've seen that as well, unless I missed it. But you got it where, Kiji is saying like, yo, should Kafka turn against us, we have nothing in our forces that can stop him. Like, yo, if Kaiju number 8 was an enemy, there's nothing we can do to stop him. He can pretty much destroy this whole planet, they're pretty much saying how powerful Kafka is right now. And I ain't gonna lie, his form just look crazy as hell with the horns, the spikes on the back looking like Godzilla. Like, yo, this dude just look crazy as hell. And then you have it where Kafka just says, like, he pretty much, I guess, like in a way, he put the general at ease without him even being aware of it. You have it with Kafka, like everyone's like puzzled at what he's turning into. They're scared. They don't know if he's friend or foe. And you have it where Kafka just says like, yo, I'm sorry. And then everyone's just like, what? He's sorry. He's like, yo, my shockwaves from transforming ended up breaking the drones. And you see him holding the drones in his hand, and you got everyone just looking like, are you shitting me? Like, I guess this is the same old Kafka. You got it with Mina. She starts smiling because she realized, like, yo, you know, he's still the same guy from when they were kids. And I like that. I like their relationship. A lot of people say they don't like Mina, you know, because of the way she treated him in the beginning of the series. But man, I don't know, man. She's grown on me. But you got it where Kafka's like, yo, I racked up this debt. I'm gonna have to pay it off. You know, I'll make sure to work it off. And you got this cold ass panel where he's, yo, this dude look like, it's a villain. He looks like, matter of fact, he looks like Taskmaster right here in this panel. I don't know how many of y'all are familiar with Taskmaster. Outside of the eyes on top of his horns, he looks just like Taskmaster, if you ask me. And you just got him looking towards, you know, the ancient kaiju, and the eyes on his horns. Oh my gosh, like this form is goated, man. Like he looks scary. Like he looks scary in his first form, but he looked damn scary in this form. And then you got it where Mina's like, yo, that's Kafka, all right. You got it where it was like, yo, the form that he's taking on, like, what is this? It's different from his berserk form. This is something completely new. So yeah, we were correct when we were saying, like, yo, he was on the verge of transforming when we seen him go berserk against the general. He just didn't reach this level of enlightenment, I guess, so to speak. And then you have it where Hoshina is saying, don't tell me he. And I wonder what Hoshina knows. I'm very curious what he knows about the situation. Does he know that Kafka gave up his humanity? He gave away his ability to go back to being human. Is Hoshina aware of this? And if that's the case, I'm curious how his interactions are going to be going forward in the series. But you got it where Kafka says he can see them. He can see all the souls around him. And you just got this panel where he's saying the emotions are endlessly gushing out. Resentment, hatred, regret, rage. For number 8, they served as an energy source, an inexhaustible pitch black fuel. And you just see all the regret, all the anger, all the hatred, all those who died in the past. And you just got it where Kafka is just like surging with energy, and you got the souls coming out of him. Like I said, it does remind me of Cell from, you know what I'm saying, Dragon Ball Z, when he was powering up that one time. And you got it where number 9, or the ancient kaiju, is observing, you know, Kafka, and he's able to see those warriors raging, those warriors with sorrow and anger. He's able to see it, or at least that's how I'm perceiving this panel to be. And you have it where he starts laughing, because I'm guessing he's remembering that he slaughtered all these guys 400 years ago. And this is the first time we've ever seen this ancient kaiju show any type of emotion, and it's laughing. You even have it where Kurisu is saying, we're making that report saying, like, yo, he's laughing. What's going on? He's actually laughing at what's going on. And then he starts powering up, and you see like kaiju's behind him in the background. And see, that's why I'm curious right now if he's the polar opposite of Kafka. Is he a combination of kaijus who have fallen in the past, and he's gotten to this point where he's seeking vengeance for his fallen brethren? I'm very curious about that. You have it where he powers up, he charges straight towards Kafka, punches him in the face, and this one punch destroys the whole area. I mean, like the whole area. Buildings, everything are just collapsing from the power of that impact. You have it even where Hoshina, as well as, you see Gin, but you really can't see his facial expression. You see Mina as well. You got it where all these people are bearing witness to what just happened, and then you just see a hand raise up. And this time I thought it was the ancient kaiju, but no, it turns out to be Kafka. And he says, like, hey, you know, we don't want to get anyone else wrapped up in this battle, so let's take the battle over there where this transmission tower is. And you got it where Kafka punches this ancient kaiju in the face and send him flying. Now, this reminds me of a moment in Bleach. I don't know if you remember when Aizen first reached his final form, and Ichigo came out of that little, I guess, tunnel where time didn't exist, and it made him grow up without him actually growing up. And he comes out, and, you know, Aizen's just standing there, and he's like, I can't sense no energy from Ichigo. And he's like, yo, let's take this battle over there away from everybody else, away from, you know, the town and civilians. And Aizen's like, you're giving me demands? And the next thing you know, Ichigo grabs him by the face and just like throws him across the field all the way to the new location where they could battle. That's what this reminded me of when it came to Kafka saying like, yo, let's take this to over there where the transmission towers are. And he punches the kaiju and sends him flying. And you have it where Kafka is like walking in that direction, and he's like doing like the Goku thing where he's like, you know how anime characters are, where they're cracking their muscles and they're getting ready to gear up. And I'm just sitting here like, holy shit, I cannot wait. And you got it where Kafka says the line like, yo, I suppose I should get going then. Hey, yo, I wish we could have got on I wish this wasn't the last panel of this chapter, for obvious reasons, like I said earlier. But I would have loved if the final panel would have been the reactions of everybody else from the Defense Force. Your boy Gin, your boy Hoshina, Mina, the new General Kiji, Klorusu, Reno. Like, I really wish we could have got the interactions of all those different characters. Now, I don't know how to feel about this battle right here, because like I said in previous videos, part of me want Kafka to be the one to finish this thing off, but then there's another part of me that want other people to aid to this battle, because one of my favorite battles in this series is when Kafka, Gin, and what was it? Just Kafka and Gin was facing off against number 9 after he devoured the general Hoshina, not Hoshina, but Iso. After they devour him, and you have both of them fighting together to take down number 9. I love that battle of these powerful characters working together to take down a more powerful foe. So part of me wants them to aid in this battle against this ancient kaiju with Kafka, but then again, there's part of me that feels like Kafka needs to beat this guy alone to show, how powerful, or how much of a sacrifice he made to obtain this new power. So I really just don't know which way to go with it. You guys can let me know down in the comments section how y'all feel about it. But all in all, man, this was an amazing chapter. My biggest gripe is it just felt like a tease. Like I said, 24 pages, it went through like that. And I get it. It probably is because some of the panels didn't have any words on it. It was just, drawn. But man, this was it was amazing. It was really amazing. But I need y'all to let me know down below, how do y'all feel about Kafka's new form? What do y'all think about that first panel with Gin? Do you feel like he stole the show with how everyone else was just shocked and surprised, and he just had that smirk on his face like, this is what I was waiting for? Like, let me know that. And also let me know, do you feel like the series is going to end? Do you feel like Kafka is going to be stuck in this form? Because just based on how they were talking earlier in this chapter, how they don't have anything that can deal with Kafka's new power. Like, it makes it sound like they can't even do anything to even pierce his skin to try to see if they could get to his body within the body. So yeah, I feel like Kafka may actually be stuck like this. And I don't know, man. I don't know how I feel about that. I love the fact that he was able to go back and forth, but now that he's actually stuck in this new form that's neither human nor kaiju, a combination of both, I'm very curious what's going to happen in the future of this series. I hope it's not ending. I would love to see even more bigger threats come, but who knows what's going to happen after this battle actually finished. But let me know your thoughts on this down below, man. If you like this video, thumb it up. Please subscribe. Greatly appreciate it. And I will catch y'all in the next one, man. Peace. Yo, this is what I'm talking about, okay? This is what I'm talking about. We just got Kaiju number 8, chapter 122, and I just love how Kafka is he's such a presence right now. Like, yo, everyone is seeing him like, yo, damn, this is number 8? This is what Kafka is capable of? And just to think that Kafka went from a person who had 0% combat power without, using his suit in the Defense Force to someone where everyone's watching him fight on behalf of the human race. I love it. I love how this chapter displayed how powerful Kafka is and how powerful, you know, this ancient kaiju is. We actually get the name of it. I can't remember what they said. They called it some type of kaiju. When I get to that page as we do the review, you know what I'm saying, I'll say the name or attempt to say the name. I'm not going to say I'm going to get it right, but I'm going to attempt to say the name. But also, not only that, my boy Gin is crazy. Like I said in previous reviews, the man one-liners be enough to make up for a whole chapter.
Almost thought you were trying to get yourself killed.
The fact that he's watching Kafka go in and fight this ancient kaiju, and he was like, yo, this ancient kaiju is something we've never seen before. But what's really pissing me off the most is that number 8 is a cut above that. Like, I don't know why, just the fact that he's like acknowledging Kafka as being the strongest. I just felt like that was just an epic moment. You know, we had everyone else just pretty much watching, but Gin was the only one who gave words like, yo, damn, this is number 8? This is what he's capable of? I don't think there's no way I could stand up to this guy. And I don't know why. Some people might say it's a small moment, a small panel. I shouldn't be so happy about it, but that shit made my day. I got to that panel, I was like, if only Kafka could see what you, or hear what you just said, it would have been priceless, man. I loved it. And then just seeing how, far as we got some callback to the general, and I don't know, it's kind of messed up that we'll never see him again. But, you know, far as the blasts that the general was doing when he was facing off against number 9, also when he was facing off against Kafka, he can only do 2 of those blasts, and he struggles to do that. But you have it where this ancient kaiju is just shooting it like it's nothing. It shows how the level of power that this kaiju actually acquired. And now that it has the intelligence of number 9, it's gonna be dangerous because it's gonna have the ability to think. So I feel like the series, I was kind of leaning towards the series was coming to an end, but I don't know now, because I feel like now that it has the intelligence of number 9, if it feels threatened, it will escape. It will have the thought process to get away, to live and fight another day. Think about all the battles we've seen number 9 in where he was almost outmatched or he was on the verge of dying. He was smart enough to say like, yo, that's it for the day, I'm done. Like when he absorbed the general and Kafka and Gin was trying to take him down, he was like, yo, I'm done. You know, my body isn't, you know, fully recovered from absorbing the general and number 2. So it'd be foolish for me to keep fighting y'all. I would risk being killed. He left. Also, when he was on beating Hawk, what's his name? Damn, I can't even think of his name right now. But Reno and the other guy, I can't think of his name. The other guy, he's pretty dope as well. But you have it where number 8 steps in and beats number 9 up, and he was like, yo, you know what? You surprised me. You're a lot stronger than I was expecting, number 8. I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here.
Retreat for now. There is no path to retreat.
And he escapes. So, you know what I'm saying, this ancient kaiju has the intelligence of number 9 now. So if it does get backed into a corner, it's a good chance that it's gonna run away and live to fight another day. Now, it might have some type of anger to the fact that it's actually being pushed back. It's never experienced that before, so there's a chance that it might not turn out the way with him retreating. It might turn out to he might have a pride thing, similar to like they said about number 2, because he does have number 2 absorbed in him within him as well. When you think about number 2, when they were talking about him in season 1, or you know, the earlier chapters of the manga, they said he was very prideful. He fought to the very end.
A sense of pride so strong that it didn't give up until the moment it died.
So there's a chance that that personality may come to the forefront of this ancient kaiju. We just don't know, but I feel more so like it's going to try to retreat. But we see that it's about to undergo a transformation. We're about to see its real self, its true self, and I'm very curious how that form will look. Number 9, I guess he's completely gone. We won't see him again. I kind of feel mad about that because number 9 was a great villain, and he really set the stage or the tone of this series, where was curious to see how much more he was going to learn, how much he was going to develop as a villain, and what new countermeasures he would make against the defense force. I was looking forward to that week on a week by week basis. But now that he's completely gone, I don't know. I don't know what this ancient kaiju is going to do now.
But we're about to get into the chapter review, man. I rambled long enough about the stuff that stood out to me the most. I might notice more stuff as I go back through the chapter with you guys. So make sure you subscribe, hit that bell for all notifications, man. I greatly appreciate it, man. You better subscribe, man. It's free. It don't cost you a thing. Do it. Nah, I'm just messing with y'all, man. Do what you want to do, man. Live life, have fun. But the chapter starts off where we got Kafka standing there. You got the little drone in the background. Now, I would have loved if we got to the point where, I don't know if you remember in season 1 of the anime when, Kafka transformed to save Kikaru. There was a moment where, they had drones watching all the people they were trying to train or do that test to get into the defense force. There was a moment where Kafka and them was emitting so much energy. Kafka and the kaiju he was facing off against, they were emitting so much energy that the drones, pretty much the cameras on the drones kind of fried, and they couldn't actually see what was going down. I would have loved if a situation like that would actually took place, as far as the people that's in the command station watching, as far as the people on the battlefield, they're actually bearing witness to it. So either or. But you have it where the chapter starts off with Kafka standing there. He's in front of number 9. You got the drones flying, looking at him, and they see that number 9 is ancient kaiju is unscathed. And you got it where the people are thinking, well, Kafka is thinking to himself like, yo, after gaining number 9's power and intellect, this kaiju is more powerful than it was 400 years ago. And I believe they call it a Meireki. Hopefully I'm saying it right. Meireki Daikaiju. That's the name of it, I'm guessing, but it's way stronger now than it was in the past. And you got it what Kafka says, unless I defeat it here today, the catalysm that took place back in the day will spread across the whole entire world. That's how big of a threat this creature is. And I wonder, with this type of kaiju, if it's more versions of this kaiju out there, like other different ones, like, ones that's been around even longer than 400 years, ones that's been around 1,000 years. I'm very curious if there is more like that, and will we actually see it. I feel like number 9 actually had the knowledge of that when he made the statement saying like, yo, I am the strongest kaiju on the surface, meaning that there may be even more Meireki kaijus like this beneath the earth's surface. Now that's just a speculation, but you got it what Kafka says, let's do it, and he starts charging towards this ancient kaiju, and he starts punching in. You can see that the force that kaiju is pushing, that Kafka is pushing out, is sending this ancient kaiju flying in the opposite direction. And it's just, yo, this shit just looks dope as hell. Kafka isn't stopping. He's going in, he's boxing this dude in the air, and the shock waves from his blows is pushing the other members of the defense force back. You got it where you got your boy Hoshina looking from afar like, yo, this is Kafka. You got it with Mina, she's covering her face. Like, these are all epic moments in my opinion. I'm sorry, man, I'm a little amp. I love Kaiju number 8. It's my second ongoing series right now, and my first main ongoing series. It only drops chapters every 3 months now. So, you know what I'm saying? So I got to get a little amp when it comes to Kaiju number 8. But you got it where they're clashing in the air, and it just looks amazing, man. Everyone's looking with just shock. But you got it where this ancient kaiju uses his tail to grab Kafka and send him flying into the buildings. Man, hey, look, I can't wait for the anime to catch up with this. I just can't wait. Then you got it with Kafka flying through the building. As he's flying through the building, number 9 pops up right above him and starts clashing with him even more. Kafka manages to get away from him. Next thing you know, you see this ancient kaiju charging up a blast, and it turns out to be the main burst blast that number 2 was doing, all those many years ago before it was subdued, as well as one of the abilities that the general was using as well. And you got it where the new general is like shouting like, oh nah, this blast is crazy. It shoots it towards Kafka, and Kafka is like, yo, you firing at the ground? Like, yo, you trying to turn this place to a vacant lot, you dumbass? And yo, he kicks the blast straight in the air, yo. Oh my gosh, this shit looks so amazing. If that blast would have hit, I'm assuming it would have wiped out everything in the area. Now my question is, would the defense force warriors or soldiers have been able to survive that? Now I know not the weaker ones, they probably would have been dusted, but I'm like, far as like Mina, Hoshina and Gin, would they have been able to survive that blast had it connected to the ground? Let me know your thoughts on that down below, man. I'm curious to hear how y'all feel about the defense force, if they can take that blast or not. But you got it where the blast gets sent up to the air, it ends up exploding, and then you got it where this ancient kaiju is just like, he's actually shooting a barrage, and he's shooting many more blasters. So Kafka takes flight to the air. You see like energy or thrusters coming from his feet. He flies towards the air and he's dodging these blasters. You have it where the blasters are coming towards him again, and he uses the thrust from his feet to make all the bombs in the air actually explode. This panel was epic, man. You got it where the people in the center is just like, yo, all shots avoided, all shots avoided. But then you got it where one blast actually looks like it's about to hit Kafka. It connects, it explodes, and then, you know, this ancient kaiju follow up with a even more vicious barrage towards Kafka in the explosion. Now, I'm not sure if all these blasts actually connected or if they were actually exploding from the explosion of the first blast. But of course, you got Mina looking from afar. You got Gin where he starts talking. He's like, yo, this is frustrating. Yo, ISO struggled, the general, he struggled to fire 2 of these shots. And this thing is just blasting them off, all, you know, blasting a dozen off of them so casually. This is insane. And you got it where the new general is saying the original number 2 kaiju couldn't even pull off a stunt like that. It couldn't blast off this many fireballs from its from its ability. It's saying that this ancient kaiju took this power and made it its own and took it far beyond what even the original host used it for. And you got it where everyone's watching from the station. They're saying there's no doubt about it. This kaiju that just emerged is the strongest in history. It's the most outrageous monster of them all. And of course, you got it where Gin and Hoshina are both looking. But Gin goes to say, but what frustrates him the most is that number 8 is even a cut above that. And you got it that Gin is a little bit jealous of how powerful Kafka has become. And I don't know, I like that, man. I just really like that, because just to think how Kafka went from being one of the weakest members in the whole entire defense force to being their greatest weapon, their greatest asset. I love it. But you got it where Kafka gets right in front of this ancient kaiju face and just hits it with a barrage of blows, man. You know, the way these blows look, it really make me think of One Punch Man. The scene where, what was his name? I think his name was Puri or something along those lines. But there's a scene where he was fighting the Sea King. And after he struck the Sea King, he was like, yo, those some really strong punches, but you know what your punches are lacking? The intent to kill. Every blow needs to be a finishing blow. And then the Sea King went to punch the hell out of Puri. Hopefully I'm saying his name right. And as he did that, you know what I'm saying, the way number 8 face body looks right here is how that dude face looked when he got pummeled by the Sea King. That's just what it reminded me of when I saw it. But you got it where Kafka is punching him so hard that the ground around him is beginning to crumble, showcasing how powerful Kafka has actually become. Then you got it where he's standing over the pummeled body of this ancient kaiju. You got the people saying like, yo, keep going and finish it off. Then Kafka makes the statement that surprised the hell out of me. He says, yo, please extend the restricted area to a radius of 5 kilometers. He's coming out. So that means this whole time it wasn't even in its true form. This whole time it was just using the body of number 9 to see what it can do, in this new era. Now he's like, yo, this dude is a bit much. It's time I show him the real me. This is insane. The chapter ends on this clip. Oh my gosh, every chapter for Kaiju number 8 is a damn huge cliffhanger. It always leaves you wanting more. I need more of this, man. I need more of this. But this was a hell of a chapter, man. I don't know what stole the show. Kafka being so overwhelmingly powerful. Number 8, the new number 9 getting a new form, or the ancient kaiju getting a new form, Gin in his statements, or you know what I'm saying, just everyone else bearing witness to what Kafka was truly capable of. I don't know what stole the show, but I know I loved it. Man, let me know y'all thoughts on this chapter down below, man, and I will catch y'all in the next one, man. Peace.
Let me show you.
What's up, y'all? We back at it with another chapter of Kaiju number 8. Yo, this chapter was crazy. Chapter 123. Yo, I'm not at the crib, so hopefully you guys can respect the grind and still thumb up the video. I would greatly appreciate it. But this chapter, hey, yo, this chapter was amazing as hell, yo. I never even considered the possibility of making numerous of number weapons off of the same kaiju body. I didn't even think something like that would even be possible, but it makes sense. And the way this chapter worded it, it's almost as if our boy Gin has the Rinnegan from Naruto, where whatever he sees, anyone else who has the same number weapon as him sees it too. This chapter was crazy. I'm sorry, your boy's a little amp. Not only that, man, this ancient kaiju, hey, yo, he's something else. He is something else, yo. There's a scene in this chapter where he puts his blast, like he does that, like, I guess, ruin attack, and he places it on Kafka's head and rips this dude's head off. I don't think we've ever seen someone do something so vicious to Kafka. I think the closest thing was number 9 punching through his chest. And that was the closest thing, or maybe the general battle. It's between one of those two things. Other than that, I don't think nothing came as close to being as brutal of an attack to Kafka as this was. That was insane. I was looking like, yo, did he just take my man's head off? Like, yo, it's a good thing he has these kaiju powers, because if he was a human, he wouldn't have survived that. He would have died. And just seeing him do that to Kafka, who's in his like ultimate form right now, there's no one in the defense force who could stand up against this ancient kaiju. There is nobody who could, even Gin with his abilities, let's just say he was fully refreshed, he wouldn't stand a chance against this guy. At most, he might be able to dodge a few attacks, but eventually he would actually overheat and this guy would take him out. I'm just being honest with you guys. I don't think anyone in this era can take this guy down. And it's crazy to think that 400 years ago, when he ran amok, yo, I can only imagine how many people he slaughtered, because they didn't have the technology back then that the defense force has now. So this guy probably was just ripping through cities, countries, all types of stuff. And we also see an ability brought back that we haven't seen since the beginning of the series. And that's number 9 ability to reawaken kaijus that's already been killed. Now, I'm curious if that's actually number 9's ability, or is that the ability of this ancient kaiju and number 9 utilized it for himself? Now, I'm very curious which one of those it may actually be. You guys can let me know in the comment section what y'all actually think, man. But all in all, man, this chapter was a solid 10 out of 10. Like Kafka, you know what I'm saying? He did his damn thing. Kikaru, oh my gosh, yo, the fact that she got 2 numbered weapons, I wonder if this is the first time that this has ever been done. Because everybody who has a numbers weapon only has 1 numbers weapon that we know of so far. So I wonder if she's going to go down in history as the first and only defense force officer to have 2 number weapons. I wonder if that's the case. I don't know, man. Let me know down below. Maybe there was someone who had 2 number weapons and I just can't remember. I want to say she's the only one, but like, yo, she's on a whole nother level right now. Like I'm surprised and curious. I wonder why she didn't use this trump card against number 15 she was facing off against. I wonder why she didn't use that trump card against number 15, or was it pretty much where she knew she had to save it just in case something went crazy. I'm very curious what was the reason why she chose to wait till now to use it. Now, I understand that it was good that she chose to wait, but I'm curious what made her make that decision. Now, also, with this actually going down in this chapter, I guarantee you the next chapter we get is going to be a flashback chapter where they're pretty much going to explain the whole conversation between Gin and Kikaru and how they came up to this decision to actually, you know, have her use number 1 eyes. It might even be a situation where, you know, they're actually sparring against one another, and then he's like, yo, you can somewhat see, can't you? And then he's like, yo, I want to try something with you. Or it might even be similar to like what we got with Gin in the general, in the spin-off series Kaiju number 8 B-side, where they actually show how Gin actually got the eyes and you know, how the general actually noticed that Gin was compatible with number one weaponized. It might be a situation like that as far as in the next chapter with a flashback of Gin and Kikuru. It might be something where he feels like he's in the shoes of the general, doing what the general did to him when he first got the eyes, the number one eyes. Now, if that does turn out to be the case, I'm down for it, because that sounds like it would be goated as hell. But we about to get into this chapter, man. Again, make sure you thumb up and subscribe, hit the bell for all notifications, and I will, you know what I'm saying, greatly appreciate it. I was about to say I'll see you in the next one. You can tell your boy Amp, man. I'm thinking I'm at the end of the video already. But the chapter starts off with Kafka just, I love how confident Kafka feels right here. Like, we've never seen him this confident. Like, the last chapter and this chapter are the only two times we've seen him on the battlefield where he just feels like he's in complete control over the situation. And I really like to see this side of Kafka. Yo, he came a long way. But you got it where he's standing there. He's like, yo, please extend the restricted area of a radius of 5 kilometers, because he already know what's about to go down. He's like, yo, he's coming out. And it's crazy because what we've seen before wasn't even his true form, which is insane to me. You got it where you know, you got Hoshina like, what do you mean? And Kafka's like, yo, you got Hoshina saying like, yo, you know what this thing is? And he says like, yeah, he showed up 400 years ago. He scorched the earth during the Edo period, and he's a major historic living catalysm. And you got it where he's countless kaiju that live beneath the surface of this country. And you got it where he comes out, he's like, yo, a Daikaiju of the Meireki, hopefully I'm saying that correctly, era. And you got everyone bearing witness to this creature come out of the body of number 9 and take his true form. But then you still got Kafka standing on the building top, looking so confident, so calm, so cool, so collective. It's like I said, man, like the way he is right now, I'm really digging it. But this creature design, yo, that's some shit. Like, if I see that, I'm running, yo. You see all these heads, all these mouths, all these eyes, and then he got hit, the way he got his hands placed together kind of remind you of what's the guy name from Naruto? He does it when he does his shot of possession jutsu, Shikamaru. Like, the way he got his hand is like Shikamaru when he's thinking. So that alone would have probably had me like, yo, nah, this dude up to something. Yo, we need to get the hell out of Dodge. But anyway, you got it where everyone's bearing witness. They all fear it. You got it where Gin says like, yo, that explains why I was seeing multiple signal sources from this guy when I was trying to read him with the number one retinas. And I don't know, man. Gin, every time he step on the scene. Every time he step on the scene, hands down, it's amazing. But you got it where this ancient kaiju does some type of scream attack towards Kafka. It shatters the buildings. It's pushing back the other defense force, high tier people, not like the low tier, like, you know, Mina and Hoshina and Gin, they all being pushed back by the force of this thing's scream. But you got it where Kafka was able to dodge it, and he's going in for a blow to strike it down, and he says it's over. But you got it where this kaiju catches the punch of Kafka, and they start exchanging blows. Now, shout out to Kafka for being able to exchange blows evenly with a creature this damn big. Because if you look at this panel where you see Kafka all small, but this creature is huge, it's just crazy to me. And then you got it where Kafka says like, yo, it turns out that he's much stronger than he was 400 years ago. First, I'll slip past him and find his core. And then that's when you see the scene I spoke of earlier where this guy puts the ruin across Kafka's face and rips his head off. This was insane. You got it with Kafka saying like, yo, he's grown even more in force. And like I said earlier, I've never seen anyone do an attack so brutal against Kafka. He's like, yo, I need to find a way to get near him. And then this guy unleashes a scream. He unleashes a scream, and I'm not gonna lie, this part right here when he does this scream, it really gave me Attack on Titan vibes. I don't know how many of y'all felt the same way, but it really gave me Attack on Titan vibes where this guy did this type of scream, and you know, Titans just start running to the area where to attack the humans. That's the vibe I got. But he does this scream, and next thing you know, all the numbers of kaijus that was defeated by the defense force in this war, they start to reawaken. They start to get back up, you know, with bruises and all included. You even see the kaijus that faced off against Hoshina as well as Kikuru. Those two identified number kaijus, they start getting up as well. You even see the one that did the warp gate, he's starting to get back up. And it's crazy because the defense force, these guys are very exhausted and fatigued right now because they just finished fighting and killing all these kaijus. And you telling me you got to fight them again? But if it's just like when number 9 used the ability, these guys probably coming back a bit stronger than they were the very first time that we encountered them. That's how it was when number 9 did it. But I do like the fact that we see a little panel of Hoshina's brother, and he's like putting his tongue out like, ugh, gross. And you know he's a captain as well. So I just thought that was a hilarious ass moment that they snuck in there. You know, out of everybody's face, they stuck his face in there. But anyway, you got it where these kaijus are getting up, they're walking, and they're trying to figure out the range of these reawakened kaiju. And then that's when they say, like, it's all of Japan. And that's insane that this guy's that strong where he was able to awaken every defeated kaiju in all of Japan. It's just insane to me. It's insane. But you got it with Mina, she's being attacked by kaiju. You got it with the other defense force warriors are being attacked by kaiju. And then Hoshina, he lost his tail to his suit. So I'm curious how his fighting style is going to be. But number 10 is probably going to be excited for it. Number 10 probably going to be like, yo, let's get it. But you got it where Kafka goes back in to attack this ancient kaiju. The ancient kaiju puts the ruins all around his body, kind of like a barrier. Kafka can't get close to him. Next thing you know, he starts attacking Kafka, sending him flying back, and Kafka is realizing that he can't get Nero. And then that's when you have Hoshina, who actually realized the only way we can beat this guy with retina numbers weapon 1. That's the only way to do it. And you got it with Gin, he's actually cutting through kaiju and saying like, yo, he could use the foresight to open up a path. But you got it where Hoshina says you don't have the strength left to use it. He's like, yo, I'm not going to do it. And this shit was so cold. Next thing you know, you see Kafka on the verge about to get attacked, and you see some blasters come out of nowhere, and they happen to hit this ancient kaiju in the right spot. And then you have it where Gin is like, yo, I assume you've already studied his movement patterns through my vision in advance, meaning they share sight. That right there indicate that they share sight. And then you have it where Gin also says, well, my dumb disciple. And they show your girl Kikuru on top of the rooftop with a gun, also with her battle axe behind her. And she says, that's a foolish question. And you see she has the retinas of number 1 as well. So it seems as if it's shared eyesight between both people who have it. And I think that's dope as hell. Like I said, it reminds me of the Renegon from Naruto. All in all, man, this chapter was amazing as hell. I'm just amped to see what happens next. Now, I do want to see what happens on the battlefield next, but like I said earlier, I know for a fact that we're going to get a flashback chapter, or at least most of the chapter will be flashback, and then it might jump back to present day towards the end of the chapter. But yo, Kikuru's back, and I said I wanted her to get some payback against this ancient kaiju as well as number 9, because they kind of were involved in the father that her father being devoured. Now it would be crazy if the father still has some type of effect on the body of this ancient kaiju, because he is in there with number 9. So there's a chance that he might actually come to the forefront, and he might create an opening for the guys to be able to take him down. That's very possible. But now that we got Kikuru involved, I still want Reno to get involved. I want Reno to showcase what he's learned, what he has acquired over the time that he spent training without Kafka. I feel like what we got from him was amazing. It was dope to see, but I felt like it wasn't enough. I want him to actually be standing there next to Kafka, and Kafka sees how much more powerful Reno is. Now, granted, he's seen that to a certain extent before, but I feel like that was short-lived. That was too short a moment. With all the buildup we had to, Reno getting as powerful as he is now, that payoff wasn't big enough for me. It wasn't. I mean, it was good, but it wasn't enough, and I need more. So hopefully we get Reno joining in the battle. I would like to say Gin and Hoshina as well, and Mina, but I feel like they're probably more fatigued than anyone else. So I don't know if we're going to see them return to the battlefield. But y'all guys could let me know y'all thoughts and theories on it. How y'all feel about it? If you want them to return to the battlefield, or if you feel like it should just be Kafka and Kikuru doing it to the bitter end, let me know. I'm curious to hear your thoughts on this one, man. But yo, this chapter was amazing, and I'll catch y'all in the next one. Peace.
Shinomiya. My hobby is hunting kaiju. Don't you dare forget it.
What's up, y'all? We just got the latest chapter of Kaiju number 8, chapter 124. And I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I wasn't excited for this chapter. And I know some of y'all like, yo, Nero, why? Hey, look, I woke up like, yo, I ain't gonna get excited. With the cliffhanger we got with the last chapter, it's gonna be one of those days where you go to read the chapter and you're gonna get that chapter 123.1. That's what I just knew exactly that was gonna happen. I was like, yo, they're not gonna get me. They've got me so many times in the past. I'm not gonna be that guy who rushed to look at the app and then be unsatisfied because we're getting a little picture chapter. I just knew they were gonna do it. So when I opened it, I'm like, it's a real chapter, what? Hey, it was a complete surprise. I did not expect them to do it, man. Hey, keep in mind, whenever we get a big cliffhanger in this series, it either goes on break or you get one of those picture chapters, you know what I'm saying? So I just knew that's what we was gonna get, but it was a nice treat that we actually got an official chapter. And Kikaru, hey, yo, she's that girl, yo.
To rip through their armor like a sheet of tissue paper.
She has proven herself in this chapter right here. Now, I know a lot of people may look at this chapter and say it was an ass pull. I could see some people saying that, but the reason why the information wasn't available to us makes sense. They didn't want the intel to be leaked out and that person be devoured by number 9. So I can respect that. It makes sense. It doesn't feel like an ass pull to me with that excuse. It's very understandable, you know, and I really like that we get to see what Kikaru is truly capable of now. But what really made this chapter shine, it wasn't the new stuff. It wasn't that Kikaru was able to use the retina of number 1. It was the flashbacks. The flashbacks of the battle when the general lost to number 9 and was devoured. If you think about that chapter, and I should have put the number of the chapter at the bottom of the screen so people can go back and read it. But if you think about that chapter, there were so many opportunities. Well, not so many, but there were a few opportunities that Kafka had to actually defeat number 9. Number 9 said it himself. Because he absorbed the general, he was in a weakened state and he needed to retreat. So he unleashed a very powerful blast. And this blast would have wiped out the whole area, would have killed Kikaru had Kafka not chose to jump in front of her and protect her. And that's one of the things she's been carrying with her because she was so weak in that moment. You know, they were forced to let number 9 retreat and live another day after what he just did to her father, after just devouring the general. And Kikaru feels like if she was stronger, she could have protected herself and Kafka would have had the opportunity to get that strike on number 9. But then again, I mean, it could be a blessing in disguise because if number 9 would have got that fatal strike on him, you know, this ancient kaiju would have emerged back then and Kafka wasn't ready for it back then, definitely not. So, I mean, I guess it kind of worked to their advantage, but that whole time, this has been weighing heavily on her because of her weakness. She wasn't able to protect her father. Because of her weakness, she was holding everybody back. Gin, as well as, you know, Kafka had to hold back in order to protect her in the final moments of number 9 escaping after devouring the general. And those flashbacks make this chapter hit so hard because it wasn't mentioned too often after that you know, we seen you know, Kikaru cry and feel sad about it, but it wasn't really showcased too much. But to know that this whole time that's been weighing heavily on her and she wanted to do whatever it took to become stronger, to get her revenge for her father, to free her father, so to speak. And in this chapter, she says she wants to free her father, but I don't want you guys to look at that and think that she means like, oh, the general will come back. No, when she says free her father from being held captive within the body of number 9 in this ancient kaiju. She's saying like she's gonna free her father through death. She's gonna destroy this kaiju in order to set her father free. So it's not more so him coming back to life, it's more so letting him rest in peace. That's what she's referring to when she says, you know, she wants to free her father. I just wanted to clear it up because I'm pretty sure some people probably like, oh, the general's still alive in there. No, he's not coming back. He was devoured. His body was already assimilated. I do not see it happening. I mean, it might be a small chance, but I don't see that happening. I think he's gone. But I will say, I would have loved for the general to see what his daughter has become. I think that would have been an epic moment. And maybe before like the body of this kaiju like deteriorates, you might have a moment where the general personality may come to the forefront for a brief moment as like the body's disintegrating and it says like, yo, Kikaru, you made me so proud. You know, maybe something like that may actually happen in the upcoming chapter. But one thing I will say, I do like the fact that we get to see Kafka and Kikaru fight together, work together as a team. All we need is Reno here. Now I know y'all gonna say, yeah, we got Reno when, you know, he was trying to pave a way for Kafka to get to Mina, but I don't really consider that because those were underlings. Granted, they were powerful kaijus he was fighting, but they weren't like the main threat. So for me, I can't really say they fought side by side. You know what I'm saying? That's just how I feel about it. You guys can let me know how y'all feel about that, man. But yo, Kikaru is on a whole nother level. We about to get into this chapter, but make sure you subscribe, hit the bell for all notifications. If you want to donate to your boy, you can, you know, hit that thank you button, you know, but that's only if you want to. But the chapter pretty much starts off where you got a flashback of Kikaru where they're running tests on her to see which number weapon she's actually compatible with, and she's showing a class 5 with the number weapon 4, which is the suit that she's currently wearing and the suit that her mom wore in the past, you know, the suit that's able to take flight. It's crazy because I forgot that suit can fly until this chapter. I honestly forgot, but they say it's the fastest suit among the defense force. You got it where she's also class 4 and 3 other kaiju suit number weapons, number 1, number 2, number 7. Now number 1 is what Gin used, the retina eye. Number 2 is what the general used that was actually devoured by kaiju number 9 in the past. And then we got number 7, which we don't have any information on number 7. Maybe she might actually use this weapon at some point and we might actually get to see what number 7 weapon actually is. That would be dope as hell to see. I hope we get to see that. It might not even be her. It might be Mina, and I'm gonna tell y'all what we're talking about when we get to that point in this chapter. It might be Mina who used number 7, but the fact that she's compatible with 4 different number weapons is unheard of. She's the first person to ever be like this in the history of the Defense Force, and that right there already makes her goated, man. Yo, but I feel like part of that is because at least 2 of them is because of her origin. You know, her mother was able to utilize number 4, her father was able to utilize number 2. So right off the bat, she should be compatible with those 2 right off the bat. So then number 1 and number 7 is just, hey, it's just a pleasant surprise. So I really like the fact that she's different, but you got it where, you know, Gin as well as the other officers that's in the room with her while they actually running the test, they want to keep this a secret because if someone was to devour the person who had this information, number 9 would know it. And seeing how number 9 is so well thought out when he goes to calculate stuff for a battlefield, he will put that into his strategic, you know what I'm saying, plans to actually counterattack this ability of hers. In fact, he may even target her as opposed to, you know what I'm saying, going straight after Mina. So the fact that they kept this was a secret was very smart. But you got it where right off the bat, the first thing Kikaru does when she finds out this information is she says like, yo, Gin, teach me, Captain, teach me. Teach me how to use number 1's retina. And we see that number 1 retina is very similar to the Rinnegan from Naruto, where if one eye sees it, all eyes see it. And so she's able to gather all this intel through the battles that Gin has had with this you know, ancient kaiju throughout the past few chapters. So all the data that Gin's been gathering, it was not only for himself, but it was for Kikaru so that she can use it too, use it as well in the battle. And so it was kind of like he just paved the way for it, and I like that. But you got it where they show Kafka, he's completely surprised, like, Kikaru, what's going on? You got it where Hoshina's like, yo, she can use number weapon 1. Like, yo, we was never told about this. We wasn't given this intel. And then you got it where Gin, I'm telling you, Gin is just cool as shit, yo. You got it where he was like, yo, well, I mean, yeah, we kept the information from you, but shit, you taught Kafka, you know, modified combat techniques in secret, right? So, I mean, we kind of even. He was like, this is the ace in the hole, you know, to get the jump on number 9. And we know Gin looked at the general as a father. You know, he looked at Kikaru's, you know, father as his father as well. And the fact that he was taken out, this whole time, Gin was seeking his revenge against number 9. And I don't know if you remember the chapter where he walks up to Kafka. After Kafka finds out the more that he uses his kaiju power, the less likely he will be able to revert back to his human form. You had it where Gin walks up to him and he's like, yo, I don't care about none of that. He's like, yo, give me your help. Aid me in trying to get revenge against number 9 for what he did to the general. And you had it where Kafka stood up and said he will do that. So to see that Gin is still holding on to that grudge, he wanted to utilize Kikaru to her fullest capability so that he could get his revenge against number 9. And you got it where Gin goes to say like, yo, the embodiment of number 9, countless eyes, it shares everything of his field of vision to the world. And you know what I'm saying, the replacements, the stored replacements ones that they have and storage and stuff like that. So Kikaru was able to observe everything that's been going on this battlefield. Now the crazy thing is, I wonder if her eyes had to be activated, because we know she didn't use it in the battle against number 15, or is it one of those things where she's constantly gaining the data regardless? And I'm curious why she chose not to use it against number 15. Maybe she just wanted to save that trump card. Not only that, number 15 was more so like a psychic attack, a battle from within the mind, as opposed to a battle in in the out front real world. But you got it where Hoshina's able to figure it out. He's like, yo, so he's been fighting with him, sharing his vision to Kikaru all this time. You got it where the new general's like, yo, look, man, it's gonna be kind of hard to defend what you actually did, because they kept it a secret for so many members, a part of the defense force. And you have it where Gin said like, yo, this is our last resort. I'll take full responsibility. Now go finish what you started that day, Kikaru. And you just got him with that cool ass look looking at Kikaru. And then you just got this golded panel of Kikaru standing on the rooftop, her axe inside of the rooftop, like piercing the rooftop, while she's holding the handgun, looking at this ancient kaiju, and the ancient kaiju is also looking at her. And she's like, yo, you changed how you look, but daddy is still inside there. And you got it where she tells Kafka, like, the fact that she seems so mature from the Kikaru we knew so many chapters ago, how confident she feels, how she looks at Kafka and she's giving Kafka commands. She's like, yo, I'm going to send your fist, all the way to this thing's core, so make sure you shatter it. And then you have it where Kafka is observing Kikaru and he sees the change in her, and he's thinking about that day. That's when we get these flashbacks. He's thinking about the day where he hid outside the office door of Gin after they had the funeral for the general. And you got it where Kikaru, she didn't attend the funeral. She stayed in Gin's office, or her father's office, and cried the whole time. And then you got it where Gin was like, yo, you didn't come to the funeral to mourn your father. And she said, I will mourn him when the defense force neutralize the creature once and for all. I can't mourn him right now because he's still alive. And that's why I was saying earlier, freeing her father doesn't mean bringing him back to life. It just means she's freeing him from the clutches of number 9. So she knows her father won't return, but she wants him to be free from this beast. And I don't know, I just thought that was epic, man. Not only that, seeing the panels of her crying, I remember when I read those chapters, I was like, yo, damn, this shit's crazy. Because the general battle, man, he went all out. But you got it where Kafka looks at her and says like, yeah, leave it to me. He's like, yo, let's free the director general. And Kafka himself is aware that freeing the general means killing the general. And it's a sad thing, but you got it where, Kikaru's observing everything. Kafka's powering up. You got the ghosts and spirits flowing around him. I love the fact that they do that with the power up. You got it where he's like, yo, let's go and take down this threat. Neutralization operation begins now. Of course, you got it where Kafka is heading straight towards this ancient kaiju. It starts to use those ruin attacks, but right when it's about to rip off Kafka's head again, that's when you have your girl Kikaru blasting the location of the organs that's actually trying to attack Kafka, using her, using the retinas of number 1 to actually see it. And she's like, yo, I gotta destroy the organs before they attack, and I got to dodge at the same time. And this just looks epic. You got her trying to locate the core at the same time, you know, shooting this kaiju whenever it tries to attack Kafka to keep him at bay. Then you got it where the it's trying to advance. This ancient kaiju is trying to attack Kikaru, but keep in mind she has the fastest number weapon suit. She's able to avoid it because she's able to fly. She's in the air, zooming around, attacking it and dodging at the same time. And then you have this moment where, you know, Mina starts talking to Nogi and tells her like, yo, I have a favor to ask. And that's why I think there's a chance that we might see Mina get a new numbers weapon. She might actually pull out number 7 and just do some work. That's what I'm saying. Like, I really think it's possible, because we don't know, and we don't find out the favor that she just asked Nogi. We do not know at this moment. But of course you got it where Kikaru, she's dodging all the attacks, and she's also reflecting on that moment where she thought about her father's death, and she was shedding tears saying like, yo, she will become stronger. She's thinking about all she can do at that moment was watch Gin as well as Kafka face off against number 9. She said she dragged everyone down, and like I said, there was a moment where Kafka could have got the finishing attack off on number 9, but he chose not to because he had to protect Kikaru from the blast that number 9 unleashed right before he was able to retreat. And you know, he was able to get away, and you see that's been weighing on her this whole time. And then you got it where she says to herself, but this time I swear I'll get you out of there. Just hold tight, daddy. And the chapter ends with her flying above the ancient kaiju looking for its core. Beautiful, beautiful chapter. This shit was amazing. I'm sorry, yo. This was a great ass chapter. I loved it from start to finish. To see the growth of Kikaru, to see how she's able to utilize many number weapons, and right now she's using 2. I wonder what type of strain it would put on her body if she was to use more than 2. I'm very curious about that. And as far as we know, she hasn't used full release in this battle. So once she does full release, there's a chance she might even be able to take her retina eyes to the level that Gin was able to make his evolve to, and maybe even further. Who knows? We'll just have to wait and see. But I am very curious what Mina is up to. What is Mina planning on doing? What did she have Nogi actually do for her as a favor? Do you think it will be her using a numbers weapon, number weapon 7, or maybe even another numbers weapon that we're unaware of? Let me know your thoughts on that. I'm very curious, man. And how do you feel about the general? Do you think it's a small chance he could return, or do you think it's more so what I was saying, where, you know, she wants to free her father by, you know, by destroying number 9, freeing him through death? Let me know your thoughts on that. And if you like this video, thumb it up, please subscribe, hit the bell for all notifications, and I will catch you in the next one. Peace.
Head on.
What's up, y'all? We back at it, and Kaiju number 8 has finally returned with chapter 125. In case you don't know, we had like a whole month break before we got this chapter, and it was real out here. We wanted to see what happened. Kikaru just unlocked her new numbers weapon 1 eyes, and I wanted to see what she was gonna do with it, but you know what I'm saying? We had to wait a month before we got this chapter. And it's crazy. It doesn't matter how many pages you get in Kaiju number 8 chapters, it always go by so fast. And when you get to that last panel, you're like, this last page? Man, this must have been a short chapter. Then you go count the pages and you realize like, nah, this is as long as they always are. It just went by that damn fast. Like, yo, this chapter was, it was over that quickly, man. But I did enjoy this chapter. It was a solid, I'll say a 9 out of 10 in my opinion. You guys can let me know y'all rating down below. But there are a few things I got questions for, and there's a couple things that I would have liked for them to add, and maybe it will happen in the upcoming chapters. I just don't know. But in this battle, this final battle with the ancient kaiju, and you got everybody working to take down these, to take down this ancient kaiju. I really want Reno to be involved, and I get it. in the last chapter, you know, this ancient kaiju used number 9 abilities to make the, you know, other kaijus return from the dead. And so you got a lot of the defense force members busy taking down these corpses, and they're already exhausted. So I imagine Reno is helping out in that type of situation. But I would still like Reno to serve some type of purpose in this battle with the ancient kaiju. Maybe it frees it in place long enough for them to penetrate the core. Maybe something like as simple as that. I just want Reno to be involved because I feel like out of everybody, he's trained and worked so hard to get to the point where he can stand by Kafka's side. For him not to be involved in this final battle, I'm a little disappointed in that. But like I said, it might be something that changed in the future chapters. You know, the battle is still ongoing, so it could happen, but I would like for that to happen. And maybe I'm the only one who feel like that. If you guys want Reno to actually join the battle, let me know down below, because maybe it's just me who feel like that. Be like, yo, Nero, you bugging. I like it the way it is. Let me know. Now, with that being said, after reading this chapter, the one thing I want to know is, was Kikuru's mother stronger than the general at the point of her death? Like, I know eventually they said the general became the strongest person to ever be in the defense force, but I wonder at the point of her death, who was the strongest between them two? Just based on what we get in this chapter right here that we about to dive into, I'm just curious who was the strongest between the mother and the father, you know, because the way she was talking, or the stuff we get in this chapter, leads me to believe that the mom was stronger at that point in time. And then once she died, it made the general, you know, go all out and become stronger and stronger so that he could protect his daughter and the things that he considered to be important to him. Now, I mean, I'm just really curious about that. Let me know your thoughts on that down below. But we about to get into this chapter, man. Make sure you subscribe and hit the bell for all notifications, man. But the chapter starts off where you got your girl Kikuru embracing her new numbers weapon 1, the retina eyes, and she's doing it to locate the core on this kaiju so that Kafka could take it down. And she's pretty much observing everything that's going on, and she's saying like, yo, I swear I will get you out of there, daddy, just hold tight. Now, like I said, I don't think the general's coming back, especially with that scene where they show him falling into the dark abyss. And I know how all these different kaijus that's absorbed into this ancient kaiju still kind of seem like they are alive, or they still have somewhat of a presence, like when we seen Mina go, you know, somewhat get assimilated before she broke free. So there's a chance her father is in there, but I don't think he's walking away from this alive. I think it's going to turn out to be a situation where maybe they defeat this ancient kaiju, and the father, a part of him might fall out and it might speak, but at some point in time he's going to die, he's going to fade away. I believe something like that's going to go down, and you know, he's going to share his last words with his family, with Kafka, and then he's going to go. That's just my thoughts on how it's going to end for the general, but it could turn out another way. I just don't see it going another way. I'm gonna be real with you guys. But of course you got it where your boy Kafka, he's hitting the kaiju with strong attacks, this ancient kaiju with strong attacks, and then every time this ancient kaiju do the ruin attack where it pretty much rips you apart, every time he locks on Kafka and put that on him, you have it where your girl Kikuru locates where the target, you know, where the attack is being sent from. She destroys it. That way the attack misses Kafka, and I love the teamwork. I love seeing these guys fight side by side. And also, while this is going on, you got it where they show Hoshina, and Hoshina is actually taking down some of the you know, some of these kaijus that came back to life due to you know, number 9 abilities being in play. And I like the fact that Hoshina is still on the battlefield doing this damn thing. Now, I'm assuming that your boy Gin is still too injured. He got stabbed near the heart, and he's still recovering, so he's not able to move, because we don't see him at all in this chapter. But of course, you got it where Kafka managed to dodge the attack thanks to Kikuru, you know, blasting the portion from the attack, or the part of the body that was going to attack. And then you have it where Kafka like does a punch. Both of their punches collide, so you got this giant fist from the kaiju, the ancient kaiju, colliding with Kafka's fist, which is the size of an average human. And just the fact that Kafka is able to like stop his punch mid-air, it just shows how powerful Kafka has became. And I love it, man. Like the way how strong he is right now, I don't think no other kaiju can actually be a threat. So if the series does continue, it's going to have to be kaiju that's even more powerful than you know, than this ancient kaiju. And with that being said, that means a lot of the defense force soldiers are going to have to get even stronger in order to compete
with with them in order to make it where Kafka isn't the end all be all as far as like we got to go to him every time we get into a battle. But anyway, while that's going on, you got it where everyone's noticing they're saying Kafka attacks or number 8 attacks are very effective against this kaiju. And then next thing you know, you got it where Kikaru, she's flying around trying to locate the core. And then you have it where the scientist that's in the office, they're saying, yo, her body is already overheating, but it's way too early for that. And I didn't even think of there could be a possible drawback for using number weapons. Like I knew about the whole shortening your life thing, because we heard that in the previous previous chapters, but I didn't think of any other drawback other than shortening your life. But you got it where, Hoshina says like, yo, it's only natural. She doesn't have the proficiency of a captain. And then on top of that, she's using 2 number weapons at the same time. And up until this point, we've never seen someone do that. She's the first person we've ever seen to use 2 number weapons. And because of that, it's causing her max out time to be shortened. I didn't even consider that to be an issue, to be something that could happen. But now that it's happening, it does make sense. She's having the burden of 2 number weapons on her body as opposed to 1. So where you have people like Hoshina and them who's able to do it max out for about 10 minutes, it seems as if Kikaru was only able to do 5 minutes and maybe even less than that, But of course, while that's going on, you got Kafka as well as Hoshina thinking she won't last too much longer. And they're thinking like, yo, man, you have it where this ancient kaiju is using, number 9's abilities, and it's probably condensed a shield around its core to protect it, which is pretty smart. Number 9 was always a very intelligent person, and you see that this ancient kaiju is using the intelligence that it gained from number 9 to use, to counter attack and also protect itself from being hurt. And you got it where Kafka's saying we just need to use a huge amount of power on the weak spot to actually break through it and get to the core. And of course they're like, yo, how are we going to expose the core? And then that's when you have Mina say like, yo, I'll shoot it down. She's going to shoot it down with the giant railgun that she used against I believe it was kaiju number 14. She used it on the one that the floating statue. I might be mixing the numbers up. I do apologize if I'm mixing it up, but I believe it was number 14 or 15. I know one of those numbers is the one that Kikaru fought, but I want to say it was number 14 that she shot down with the railgun. But she's heading on her way there. And I imagine in the previous chapter when we heard her talking to old girl saying she needed a favor, the favor probably was to have that gun charged up by the time she get to it. So you got it where she's running to that location and they're trying to buy time and trying to push this ancient kaiju in the path and the target zone of this railgun. And while that's going on, of course, you got Kikaru. She's flying around, she's focusing on all the signals, trying to locate the core within this kaiju. And as she's doing that, she's seeing a lot of decoys, cores from the previous kaijus that were collected by this ancient kaiju, which is insane to think. And when you see this panel where you see all these different cores, it just shows you how many monsters is collected over time, which is kind of sad because I imagine these guys didn't want to be absorbed and turned into what they are now. So it's kind of sad. So she's trying to focus and avoid the these decoys and find the true core. And as she's looking, you see her percentage power, her combat unleashed power is dropping steadily because of the burden of using 2 number weapons. You got it where it drops 12%. She feels the strain on her body, but she isn't giving up. She's still searching. And you got it where even the scientists, the people working in the office saying like, yo, she's taking on a tremendous amount of stress. Like, yo, she just lost another additional 5%. And I like stuff like this when it happens in series, because I can only imagine how when it gets into anime form, they got the right music playing in the background. You got it where she's trying to locate this core, and you just see how dire the situation is, and everyone's watching the same. I can only imagine how amazing and how goated this is going to be when the anime actually, takes this and adapt it. But you got it where she's looking through all these mini cores to locate the true core. And while that's going on, she has a flashback where she thanks her daddy as well as her mom, and how why her dad was so strict. It's a moment where she was asleep as a child, where she was pretending to be asleep, and you have it where the mother says like, yo, I'm gonna have to harden my heart to train her.
I'm going to be strict with her, pretty much saying she's going to train her and be rough with her, but that's necessary in order for her to become strong to survive. And you know, once she passed away, it seems as if the father, you know, saying the general, he took the road that the mom was going to take. So that's what kind of leads me to believe, like, was she stronger than the general at that point in time? I know eventually the general gets labeled as the strongest in the defense force, but I wonder at this point in time, was she the strongest, and that's why she was going to be the one who trained Kikaru, but she, you know, kind of, you know, she died, and because of that, the general had to take her place, because the mom was telling the general, like, yo, I'm gonna have to harden my heart to her, so you're gonna have to give her all the love she needs. And this was before her passing. So once she passed, it was the general who said, like, yo, I will take the responsibility that my wife had, and I will train my daughter to be the strongest. So he was pretty much a stand-in for the mom. That's why I'm really curious about who was stronger at that point in time. But you have it where Kikaru finally locates it. She locates the real core of this ancient kaiju, and you know, she says, like, yo, I can see it from the signal. It's the control center, the main core. She's sharing the location with everybody. People are shouting, well done to Kikaru. Then you have it where this ancient kaiju giant hand goes to smack Kikaru, and at that point in time, Kikaru is unable to avoid the hit because her output drops even more. Her output decreases even more, and she gets smacked by this ancient kaiju, and this blow looks devastating. You got it where everybody's screaming, like, yo, she just lost another 15%, she's at her limit. And you got it with Kafka himself, he's screaming her name and he's running in her direction, but then that's when she shows how strong she is. She's like, yo, stay back. Didn't I tell you, Kafka, like, yo, I'm done being rescued? And that means that moment when her father got her father got absorbed by number 9, and she was there helpless on the battlefield and just had to bear witness to it, and Kafka ended up having to save her as well as Gin. You know, she felt responsible for everything that happened. She felt that if she hadn't been that weak on the battlefield, you know, maybe they could have stopped number 9 from getting away back then, keeping this instance from happening, you know, not knowing that it would have made the ancient kaiju come to the forefront back then and there. But you have it where she's been blaming herself this whole time. She's been seeing herself as this pathetic loser who had to be rescued and saved on the battlefield. And so now on the battlefield, she doesn't want to be that person. She doesn't want to be the person that's saved by another. She wants to be the person that saved people. And when you think about when we first seen her on her very first mission, when these guys were trying to get into the defense force, remember, she was running around saving everybody, saying no one dies as long as I'm on the battlefield. And I feel like that was a callback. You know, this moment right here was a callback to that moment back then when we first got introduced to her.
No quitters and no casualties. Not when I'm on the battlefield.
I really like that about her character. I really like this moment in the chapter. And then she says, like, yo, resuming mission. She picks up her gun, and you have it where she's thinking about her father, and she's saying, like, yo, I'll be okay now. You know, no matter what dilemma I may face, no matter what kaiju I may stand against, I won't give in. And then you have it where you got old girl shouting that they're pretty close to being in the path of the railgun. And you have it where Kikaru's thinking to herself, like, yo, Captain, Mama, Daddy, I'll surpass them all. She was like, yo, I'll be the strongest defense force officer there ever was. And I love this fact. Now, she's not, I'm guessing she's not considering Kafka to be a defense force soldier because he's in his kaiju form. But you have it where Kafka is understanding where she's coming from. He's seeing her attack that's distracting the kaiju, and he's taking advantage of it to actually punch and knock this ancient kaiju in the path of the railgun. And you got it where old girl jumps on. She says the target point has been reached, and Kafka calls out to Mina, and you have it where she's on the railgun and she says locked on, and that's how the chapter ends. This shit was goated as hell. I really love this chapter. It was goated as hell. But like I said, I still want Reno to be involved, and I'm thinking there's going to be a situation in the next chapter where maybe the ancient kaiju is going to try to get out the way, and then that's when Reno Ice is going to come, freeze it in place long enough for Mina to get off the shot, expose the core. Kafka's gonna go in there, hit it with everything he got, destroy the core, and then he might even have it where Kikaru or somebody like goes and save him from the explosion that's gonna come from the core detonating. I don't know, I just see something like that going down. I could be wrong, but either way, man, amazing chapter. Gotta wait 2 more weeks, man. Damn. The railgun is dope though. I just like the visor over her eyes, and just how you can see the lock on target. I really like the design of this, you know what I'm saying, of the visor. But I would still like for Mina to get a numbers weapon and something that's more mobile, because this is like a stationary cannon. Like, she has to go to the cannon. It's not like she could take it with her, which is one of the downfalls, because she could have been helped them out on the battlefield had that been something she had on her. Maybe she will get a number weapon at some point, but if she's this powerful without a numbers weapon, imagine how powerful she will be once she get one. But let me know your thoughts on this chapter down below. And if you like this video, thumb it up, please subscribe, hit the bell, and I will catch y'all in the next one, man. Peace. Hold up. Was that the ghost of her mom? Was that the ghost of her mom?
No quitters and no casualties. Not when I'm on the battlefield.
Kikara.
What's up, y'all? We back at it with another chapter of Kaiju number 8, chapter 126. Now, don't get me wrong. This chapter was a solid 10 out of 10. But if they don't show Reno soon, and him contributing to this final moment against this ancient kaiju, I'm gonna be highly upset. That's the one thing I feel like this battle is missing. I feel like everyone had a moment against this ancient kaiju, except for your boy Reno. I mean, you had Hoshina, you had Gin, you had, you know what I'm saying, Kikaru, you had Mina, as well as Kafka. All of them had a moment against this ancient kaiju, and your boy Reno still hasn't came into play. So I'm really hoping they give him a moment. And I get it, some people may feel like his part was closed up when he was actually able to stand side by side with Kafka when Kafka was trying to go save Mina. I get that, and I do think that was an epic moment for his character as well, just seeing his growth and him being able to showcase to Kafka how powerful he has become. I do get that, but at the same time, I feel like he needs some get back against this ancient kaiju, because just think about number 9 mind is within this guy. So when you think about what number 9 did to your boy Reno as well as Haru when they were when Kafka first met number 9, he really did a number on them. And I feel like as well as Haru, him as well, him and Reno definitely need some get back against this ancient kaiju. Now, I might be the only one feeling like that, and you guys can let me know down below, man. You guys let me know. But yeah, I feel like it's going to be a missed opportunity if they don't allow Reno to show up and aid in some type of way. It could be something as simple as calling out a distraction for Kafka to, you know what I'm saying, to get the final blow or something along those lines. It could be something as simple as that, just long as he has some type of involvement, man. You got people that's in the office that are getting showcased in this moment right now, and your boy Reno hasn't. I get it. Some of these kaijus came back to life, and Reno's probably handling them guys. But yo, hey man, look, man, what are the other guys doing? Let them handle that so that Reno could join this battle. Man, that's just my only gripe about this. This is my only gripe about the last few chapters. But other than that, 10 out of 10. I will say though, this chapter, like, I know other chapters of Kaiju number 8 feel fast. This shit felt so damn fast that I literally was like, there's no way. There's no way this is the last panel. There is no way. Well, we only got 24 pages. Usually, I want to say it's about 26 pages if I'm remembering correctly. But like, yo, this shit just went by super fast, super fast. Granted, my girl Kikaru, man, MVP. But let's get it. Matter of fact, if y'all got another MVP, let me know down below who you think was MVP of the chapter. And let me know y'all rating for this overall chapter. But we about to get into it. Make sure you subscribe, hit the bell for all notifications. Greatly appreciate
Okay, time for the revenge match.
it, man. With that being said, let's get into it. So the chapter starts off where you got your girl Mina, she actually sees her target, which is the ancient kaiju, is in reach. And you just have this amazing moment where they show her with the blood running down her face. She got the visor on. I don't know why. I just think this scene just looks so amazing with the hurt visor and everything, and just how it kind of reminds me of like Iron Man, where you have like the digital stuff floating in the air around you. Every time I see that in any series, it makes me think of Iron Man. But you see that her gun is fully loaded, fully charged, and she goes to fire. And you got that lock-on symbol on her eye on the visor. Goated moment, man. It's the simple shit, man. It's the simple stuff that get me every time. But you see, she blasts the cannon straight towards this ancient kaiju, and you got it with the ancient kaiju. He doesn't even try to dodge. He goes straight to counterattack, and he fires a beam of his own straight at it. And I'm curious why he didn't use this beam earlier in the battle. Maybe was it that he felt like it would leave him too open for Kafka to actually punish him if he missed? Maybe that's the case. But you have it where the two blasters collide, and it seems as if the ancient kaiju blast is just a little bit bigger. If you look at the panel, you can see like the darkness drawn around the blast coming from him, as opposed to the darkness from the blast coming from Mina. But you got it where it's colliding. He's actually starting to push Mina blast back towards her, and then you just have this moment where they show all the members. Like I said, they're showing everybody, people that's not even in the battlefield, the new general, the people in the office. They're showing everyone. That's what I'm saying. Like, yo, they could at least have Reno look up to the sky or something, like, what's going on? You know what I'm saying? Let him do something, please. I want Reno involved, man. He's a dope character. But anyway, you got it where the blasters colliding with one another, and then you have it where the cannon that Mina is using is starting to, its circuits is starting to overheat, and the barrel of the gun, heat is rising rapidly. Now, I would have loved, and I hope they add this when this gets animated, I would have loved if they would have showcased like parts of this giant cannon melting away from the power that it's producing. If they would have took the time out to show that, like they show the cannon and they show like electricity and stuff functioning, malfunctioning around it, but they don't actually show it melting like everyone is speaking. Like, cause you have old girl with the glasses, she's like, yo, the melting has begun, meaning that the gun itself is starting to melt. So I would have loved that they showcased that in this chapter, and I hope it's something they'll make up for in the actual anime when it gets to this moment. I say this probably won't be till like what, season 3 or season 4, but I'm hoping they actually showcase this in the anime, showcase the gun actually melting. But you got it where Mina, she's like, yo, she's saying to herself, it won't last much longer. And then that's when you have this epic moment. Now imagine this in the anime where you have this amazing music playing, and you just have it where your girl Kikiru just comes out of the clouds from above this ancient kaiju with her battle axe. Yeah, I thought she left her battle axe on the top of the building, but nah, she has it back in her hand, and it seems as if she threw away her the little rifle she has, and she's talking to her outfit. She's talking to her numbers weapon, and she's like, please, numbers weapon 4. And I love this because it would have been amazing. What would have made this over the top is if she would have seen the ghost of her mom like nod at her like, you got this, daughter. Like, that would have probably put this over the top. But she's asking her numbers weapon to please, she knows she's already pushed it to its limit, but please just give her enough for one more attack. And you have it where you can see her output level right now is 51.8%. And she's saying like, just one more attack. Lend me your strength. You got blood running down her face. Such an epic moment. And you have within an instance, her output jumps from 51.8 to 93%. And they do actually show her mom hand on the blade. I didn't even notice it till just now. I didn't notice it when I first read it. I'm assuming that's the ghost of her mom actually touching her hand while she's holding the battle axe. And if that is the case, that just made this moment even better, man. Oh my God, I can't believe I missed that. I was thinking that was her hand, but I'm looking closely at the panel. Her mom places her hand on the battle axe as if like, yo, I will guide you, my daughter. Damn, that's epic. That might be the best moment of the chapter right there. That might be the best moment of the damn chapter. But you got it where she says the Defense Force officer is the spear of the state and the shield of the people. damn, that's cold. And then you got it where she's using Gin, you know, number 1 retina eye ability to locate, you know what I'm saying, where to hit the head to cause the most damage. And she was like, but this attack, and she's also thinking of her father and how many fun times that she had jumping into her father's hands, you know, as a child, which really make this moment really sad, because it's almost as if she's saying goodbye to her father because she has to set him free, and the only way to set him free is to destroy this ancient kaiju. Damn, that's yo. Hey, look, Kikaru has some of the best writing in this series. I would say Kafka, Kikaru, and Reno. I would say, you know, Gin a little bit as well. I'd say Gin would probably be 4th, but they have some of the best writing. And well, there's some of the best written characters in the series. Don't get me wrong, every character in this series is written pretty damn good. Some people would argue as far as with Mina, but I don't think nobody would disagree with the rest of the characters that's within this series. And then just even thinking about the anime and how they expand on some of the characters that they don't really expand on in the actual manga. So, you know, where you would look at them and be like, yo, nah, they actually are a little more complex than I thought. They're not just a single layered character. But you have this amazing moment where she says, I give it to you and you alone, meaning everything she has in this attack. And you just have this amazing panel of her, you know what I'm saying, doing her rising thunder or falling thunder attack, smashing the head of this ancient kaiju. And I'm not gonna lie, when this happened right here, when she smashed the head and you see like the blast kind of coming out of the eyeballs of the head, it really made me think of, and I know some of y'all gonna be like, wow, you might be reaching, but it really made me think of Dragon Ball Z. When I believe, was it it was Dragon Ball Z, when you had Raccoon about to shoot a blast out his mouth. And I can't remember who it was. Either it was Vegeta, I think it was Vegeta or Gohan. One of them hit the head of Raccoon while he was shooting a blast, and it caused Raccoon to like pretty much overheat. You had steam coming out of his ears. He lost a couple of teeth from that blast. That's what this moment really made me think of. But you got it where Kikaru actually smashed the head of this ancient kaiju, made the blast stop as she's like falling towards the ground. Mina seizes that opportunity to blast straight through this ancient kaiju, and she rips straight through it, man, straight through it. And then as Kikaru's falling to the ground, she says, please, Kafka. Yo, oh my God, this is just an epic moment. And then they show Kafka in the middle of the ancient kaiju's body, and he's about to do an attack on it. He's about to punch it with everything he got, and he says, leave it to me. Now, of course, we do see the barrier, you know, from number 9 ability surrounding the core, and I'm curious if Kafka is strong enough to shatter it in one shot, or is it going to be one of those things where he damaged it and then it runs off, and you know what I'm saying, we might see him somewhere in the future. Very curious how this is actually going to go down. But I really love this moment where you got Kafka like charging up to punch this this spear, this core. It kind of reminds me, like, it looks like Gon from Hunter x Hunter. I see moments like that. It also gives me vibes of JJK, you know, your boy Yuji, as he does his move as well. And then with the energy flowing around him, kind of looks like curse energy a little bit. So I'm not saying for sure, but I could picture the author took inspiration from those two, you know, those two characters, you know, Gon, as well as, you know what I'm saying, Yuji, for this actual moment right here, because the stance he does looks damn near identical to, you know what I'm saying, what they do for their primary attacks. But I'm very curious, will Kafka be able to shatter this core with it being within this barrier? It's something we're going to have to wait for. Hopefully he will. But again, it might be a situation where Reno has to get involved. Look, man, I'm gonna keep saying it till it goddamn happen. Maybe Reno could take out the barrier so that Kafka could hit the core directly. Now, I do feel like the series is definitely not ending. I know some people are speculating that this might be the final battle, and that's why this battle is taking so long. Some people feel like it's being dragged on. I myself, I do feel like this battle is going very long, but at the same time, is to showcase the development of every character. So I'm okay with it, because we had chapters where they were showcasing what Gin was capable of, what new moves he's learned. They had chapters where they were showcasing your boy Hoshina and what new moves he acquired and learned, as well as the same with Kikaru, Mina, as well, Reno and some of the other members from the Defense Force that other people, loved. So I do feel like I said, I do feel like it's long, but I feel like it's justified because they're giving development to the characters that we care about. So I'm cool with that. But at the same time, I don't think it's ending, because I feel like that moment where your boy number 9 said he's the strongest on the surface right now, I feel like why make that statement if the series is going to end, unless he was referring to the ancient kaiju within him, and he was saying he's the strongest on the surface as far as that his body. Now that could be the case, and that wouldn't make sense. So, but I would like to be hopeful and think the series is not wrapping up. But let me know y'all thoughts down below. How do y'all feel about it? How do y'all feel about this chapter? Who do you think was the MVP? For me, Kikaru, hands down. Kafka, he didn't have a big role in it. None of the people besides Kikaru and Mina, they had the biggest parts in this chapter. But just seeing the ghost of her mom reach down and touch the battle axe, man, that was an epic moment for me, man. But let me know your thoughts down below, and if you like this video, thumb it up, please subscribe, hit the bell for all notifications, and I will catch you in the next one. Peace.
There's no coming back from this! You know that, don't you?
What's up, y'all? We back at it with another chapter of Kaiju number 8, chapter 127. Yes! Man, this chapter did exactly what I wanted it to do.
You know this is just the beginning, right?
I've been asking for this moment for the past few chapters. Well, this whole battle, I've been asking for this moment to happen, and they finally gave it to us.
I was right from the very beginning, dude. This is everything I wanted.
Granted, it was kind of brief, it was small, it was short, so I can understand some people may complain about that, but just the fact that they took the time to include this moment, oh man, that's all I needed for this chapter. This all I needed for this chapter, man. We about to get right into it, man. Make sure you subscribe, hit the bell. Your boy's a little amp right now, as you can tell. Just that one, actually it was a couple panels in this chapter was just goated, but that one panel in particular, and I'm not going to say it right now until we get to that part in the video, but you guys who read it already know what I'm talking about. You already know what I'm talking about. So down below in the comment section, I need you to tell me your rating, 1 out of 10. What was this chapter for you? 1 being the the least liked, and 10 being very liked. Also, I want you guys to let me know, how do you feel about this conclusion that we got in this chapter? Let me know how y'all feel about that. And this chapter did, I'm gonna admit, this chapter did go by kind of fast.
Wait, how did it get so fast?
I want to say, before I knew it, I was on the last page. It didn't even feel like it was 22 pages, but it was 22 pages. But a lot of the panels were double spreads. But let's get into it, man. So the chapter starts off where you got your girl Kikaru screaming out, blood running down her face as well as tears. Like, I love the fact the blood is coming from her, the retina number 1 weapon's eye, and then you just got the tears coming from her natural eye. I just really love that detail that they put in this panel. You got her crying and blood and just running down her face, and she's saying, please, Kafka, please. The fact that she's pleading to this man to set her father free, and the only way to set him free is through death. Dang, that's some touching stuff right there. Like, honestly, if I was Kafka in that moment, I would have probably been a little shooken up because of what she was asking me to do, because she might be asking you to do that because she wants her father to be free, but there's a chance, and then granted it's a small chance, but there's a chance that she could still hold some resentment in the future. Like, let's just say Kafka destroyed the core, the father died as well. There's a chance that she could have some resentment, like, yo, Kafka killed my father.
Stop it! You're still human, aren't you? Stop it!
Now, like I said, it's not a big chance, but it could still happen. And I've seen situations like that in other movies where they knew their loved one had to be taken out. Their loved one was taken out by the character, and they resented the character for doing it, even though the character had no other choice. It could be one of those type of situations. I don't know. I don't think it's going to go that route, just on how Kikaru feels towards Kafka in general, but it's a possibility. I don't know. Let me know how y'all feel about that. But you got it where they show Kafka right next to the core. He's got his stance like, yo, like again, it looked like Gon from Hunter x Hunter. It looks so, oh man, it looks so goated, man. It looks so damn goated. But you got him with the stance, and he says, the time has come. And then you just got the whole army from 400 years ago, all these people who lost to this ancient kaiju 400 years ago. You got all of their souls. They're all screaming like, now. I wonder if it was them saying now, the time has come, or was it Kafka saying it? Or was it both of them, like, you know what I'm saying, together at the same time? Let me know down below how y'all feel about that. But I just like the fact that you see all these soldiers. Like, that panel just looks infinite. Like, it's an infinite amount of soldiers that got taken out in that battle in the past. Like, yo, I would love to see more flashbacks of that battle, because I feel like what they gave us was just brief. It wasn't enough to really see how many soldiers got taken out. Granted, I know they said it took place, like it went on a rampage for 100 days, if I'm not mistaken. I might have the number mixed up, but I think they said that ancient kaiju went on a rampage for 100 days. And then you got it where Kafka's just standing there charging up his fist. You got the souls of all these dead warriors wrapping around his fist, like all the energy coming from their souls. I don't know why. This was just such a goated panel, and he's just like, yo, and he says, entrust the entirety of your grudge to my fist. And you just see all the souls just going straight, rushing straight to Kafka's fist. Next thing you know, you got it where the ancient kaiju, his body is starting to regenerate. It's starting to cover up where the core is. Now, what I'm curious is, if he would have covered his wound with Kafka still being there, would have been its way of assimilating Kafka, Kaiju number 8, or is it something where eventually it would have rejected him and spit him out the body? I'm very curious how that would have went down. But of course, you got the people at the office saying like, yo, this creature's regeneration is way too fast. He won't make it in time. Kafka says, don't worry. I just have to stake it all on this attack. You see Kafka actually close his eyes, like, and I'm not gonna lie, the panel with the eyes closed just looks so damn scary. Like, that looked like some horror shit. And he's like, yo, isn't that right? Isn't that right? And you just see like little shards in the air. You don't really know what it is until you get to the next panel. And these shards right here is ice. And then once you get to the next panel, man, you see that the ancient kaiju body is frozen, and the fact that it's frozen is keeping the body from regenerating as quickly as it just was. You got everyone on the intercoms looking like, yo, what just happened? They even show Kikaru looking with her, you know what I'm saying, with the retina eye, like, yo, what's going on? And then that's when they show your boy, man. They show your boy Reno. Yo, yes, Reno showed up. And you know what I'm saying? He was like, partner. You know what I'm saying? Seal the deal, sir. I don't know why. This, like I said, it was a small moment, but it was all I needed. I've been saying it for quite some time that I want Reno to have a moment against this ancient kaiju. Everybody's faced off against it since Reno, and I was getting a little upset. You had Hoshina, you had Ging, you had Mina, you had Kafka, you had Kikaru, you had all of these people having their moment against this ancient kaiju, and I'm like, yo, when is Reno gonna get a shot? I know they're not gonna do my boy like that. And like I was saying in my previous videos, that would have been the one thing that would have had me pissed. I would have been extremely mad if this battle would have continued without Reno showing up at some point in time. But you got it where he's able to slow down the regeneration of this ancient kaiju to give Kafka the opportunity that he needed. And it was just so epic. Him saying, yo, partner, seal the deal. Like, yo, come on, man. Come on. Like, yo, the fact that Kafka's the one who said partner, I'm just realizing it, because he says, isn't that right? Partner. And they show Reno there as if Reno already knew that Kafka needed. No words had to be said, you know, from Reno for him to understand what the situation needed, and it needed him. Then he just lifts up his head and says, seal the deal, sir. And you got it where Kafka punches the core with everything he got. Now, I love the Reno moment, but I really love this moment that we're about to get into. It shows Kafka as an adult, and it shows Kafka as a child. And I feel like this right here is just really powerful, how, you know, how we as kids or growing up, we expect our lives to go a certain type of way. And the older we get, we may not necessarily accomplish those things we said we would as a kid. But, you know what I'm saying, it doesn't necessarily mean the future you're living now is bad. You know what I'm saying? It's just not the path you envision. And I like what this says right here. I feel like that's what this moment right here actually says. You have it where Kafka says to his younger self, "This isn't the future I expected, but if I can square this away nice and neat, it'll be pretty damn cool, wouldn't it?" And you got him saying that to his younger self. His younger self looks at him with like a little, you know, a little like snarty look, and then he says like, "Yeah, let's punch right through it." You know what I'm saying? Like, they both came to terms with the future that they're currently living. You got him running, showing different ages of his life, pretty much showcasing the path he took to get to this moment as he rushes towards the core of the kaiju. Then it jumps outside of the mind of Kafka to, you know what I'm saying, to the real world with him actually punching the core. The ancient kaiju body starts to come out of the core itself to try to stop Kafka from making contact. You see where Kafka's eyes is completely closed. And the next thing you know, he opens it and he manages to shatter the damn core. And you see the ancient kaiju kind of deteriorating and falling away, falling to the ground. Now, whether it's actually defeated or not, we do not know. It's left in the air, but like, yo, the way this chapter ended, characters such as Mina, Gin, Hoshina, as well as the little girl from the very, the second episode of the anime, you got it where all of them are witnessing Kafka sacrifice it all to save these people. Now, the only thing that really sucks is Kafka isn't going to be able to go back to being human. He's going to be stuck in this form. I'm curious how this is going to work, because I feel like this ancient kaiju may not be defeated. I think it's going to try to retreat. Now, hear me out. We haven't heard any announcements as of yet of the series ending, meaning there's going to be a threat to continue, for the series to continue going. And I feel like it might be the ancient kaiju surviving. That might just been one of its many cores. Like, it might have had two main cores as opposed to one. We know it had multiple cores. This was just the one they labeled as the main core. And maybe that's not the case. Maybe it was able to trick us or fool Kikaru into believing that that was the main core. Remember, it does have the intelligence of number 9, and because of that, it is very clever, and there's a chance that it could have planned a chess move or maybe laid an egg. We don't really know. I just feel like it's more to this ancient kaiju, and the battle isn't over. Well, this battle may be over, but the war isn't over itself. But again, this chapter was a 10 out of 10. All it took was your boy Reno showing up. Reno showing up, stopping the regeneration was just such a epic moment. And then just having your boy Kafka fight, you know, punch the core, and then talk to his younger self, you know, telling his younger self this isn't the future I envision. But like, yo, it's pretty damn cool, isn't it? I don't know. I just really like that, man. I don't know. This chapter got me, man. It really got me. But I'm curious to see what's going to happen going forward with the series. You guys can let me know your thoughts and opinions on that. What do you think is going? Do you think it's a chance that it could be actually ending? Do you think we're going to have a new threat? Do you think this threat will just retreat and return at another time? Let me know. I'm very curious to hear your thoughts on that, man. I love reading you guys' comments, especially when it comes to Kaiju number 8, as well as a few other series. But yeah, I enjoyed it, man. The Reno stuff, that's all I could have asked for, man. That's all I could have asked for. But hopefully you guys liked this video, and if you did, thumb it up, subscribe, hit that bell, and I will catch y'all in the next one, man. Peace. No way they did my boy Kafka dirty like this. There's no way they did him dirty like this.
Kafka. I'll be waiting for you.
What's up, y'all? We back at it with another chapter of Kaiju number 8, chapter 128. Only one more chapter left after this, and I don't think we got enough time. I don't think one more chapter is going to give me all the answers I need. I'm gonna just be honest with y'all. I put a video talking about it out yesterday, and this right here kind of confirms my, my suspicions and stuff that I was worried about. Like, yo, I don't think there's enough space for the next chapter to wrap everything up. I'm gonna just be honest with you guys. Don't get me wrong. This chapter was goated as hell. In fact, for a quick second, this chapter had me really mad because I thought they was gonna do something real crazy with Kafka. And I was looking like, yo, ain't no way. Ain't no way they about to do this. But, we about to get into that. Make sure you subscribe and hit the bell. Only one more chapter left after this one, man. Let's get into it. So the chapter starts off where you got Kafka. He's pretty much destroyed the core of this ancient kaiju. His body is falling apart. You got everybody like bearing witness to it, saying that it was a critical hit, core heavily damaged. You got it where they show Kikaru as well as Reno, the new general. You got the people around the world or around the country that actually saw this battle. They seeing the collapse of this ancient kaiju, They're saying no vital readings are no longer detected. Target destroyed. Everyone shouting and cheering. You even have the little girl that's, from the second episode of the anime. I want to say probably the first chapter. It might be the second chapter of the actual manga. You got her celebrating. She's saying like, Mama, he really beat that thing. I like that callback. I like how they kept her involved within the last few chapters, and it's crazy because she played such a small part at the beginning of the series. You wouldn't think she would come back to be a character that we see as often as we've been seeing lately. But anyway, you got it where everyone seems relieved and everything, and then you got it where they're saying all the resurrected kaiju, their readings are starting to disappear as well. So it seems as if the hosts die, they die as well. And then you got it where Mina, I like this. Like, a lot of people say they don't like Mina's character, and I get it. I get some of the reasons why, but I like the connection that she has with Kafka, because without even being told anything, she instantly like just stops, and she's just like, cause she's smiling, she's celebrating, and she stopped, and she's like, yo, Kafka. And I feel like, the writer was trying to let us see that she felt that something wasn't right. Even though she didn't know what was going on, she felt that something wasn't right. And you got it where Kafka is laying on the ground, and his body as well is beginning to break apart and deteriorate, just like the ancient kaiju that he's laying on. And you have it where then Mina, she screams out loud. She screams. She's like, yo, Kafka. You got it where, the people in the office as well as Reno, they hear this. They hear this over the radio. You got Kafka saying, he says he can feel the grudge spirits fading away from him now that they achieved their goal. It's kind of selfish, because they did what they did with Kafka to achieve their goal, and now it's just like, yo, well, I mean, you just got to die too. And they, they're starting to fade away, and you got it what Kafka says, like, yo, it seems as if he's fading away as well, because, he fused together with them. And you got it what Kafka says, well, I was prepared to face the music, meaning that, even though he's dying, he knew it would happen. And that's something that I didn't even consider a possibility. I never thought that Kafka could actually die once the task was completed. I was just thinking like, oh, he's going to be stuck in his kaiju form. And you have it where that if he was to say he had no regrets, he would be lying. Even so, he did everything he could. He says, thanks to these guys, the spirits is fading away, he managed to keep his promise. And his promise was to stand on the battlefield side by side with Mina. Granted, it's a little different. He was expecting it to be as a defense force officer, which he was to a certain extent, but he was expecting to be standing beside her wearing a defense force uniform. Instead, he stood beside her in a kaiju form, but nonetheless, he was able to stand by her side. And you have it where you got Mina screaming out his name. He's thinking of everybody. He's thinking of Mina. He's thinking of Reno. He's thinking of Kikaru, Vice Captain, Gin, Haru. I love the fact that they gave him a callback. Awa, they gave him a callback, which is really crazy because the manga really don't give him any shout out. As well as, I believe the dude name is Haruchi. They gave him a call out too. I like the fact that they actually gave those two characters call outs, because those are characters that we don't get much from in the manga. Although in the anime, they have gave us more to their characters. So shout out to the anime on that part. I know the trailer dropped. I will be doing a reaction to that. I'll probably post that tomorrow though, because I got like 2 videos already for the day. He also thinks of the other members of the defense force, even the cleaners. He thinks about them as well, and he says thank you, and he leaves the rest to them. And I'm not gonna lie, I got to this part in the chapter, yo, your boy was straight heated. I'm going off like, this is some bullshit. Like, yo, I mean, usually situations where this happened to the main character can be very cool, but in Kafka's case, because I feel like he has so much stuff that he didn't get to fulfill, man, I was hot. And some of y'all might be like, well, what are you referring to? I mean, just being a well-known person that everyone's thinking. Because right now, the defense force look at him as a hero, but the world doesn't. And he will never get to see how the world feels about him. So I'm pissed. I'm like, yo, this dude fading away. He's dying. I'm mad as hell. Then you have it where the general shows up. And this is one of the things I wanted to see happen. What more so with Kikaru, but it doesn't look like it's going to go that route. But you have it where the general shows up as Kafka's fading away, and he says, no, I'm not letting that happen. Of course, you have it where Kafka looks at him like, yo, what are you doing here, Director General? Like, why are you in my head? And you have it where they say, because both of them are disappearing, their grudge and everything, they kind of like merge together as they're fading away. At least that's the way I'm taking it, now that they're free. And you have it where the general says, I came to thank you for the last time. And I don't know, I think it's dope that he came to thank Kafka. And just when you think of the end of season 1 of the anime or the manga, whichever one you want to go about, when he says like, yo, I need your strength, Kafka, and he asks him to aid him in this battle, it kind of feels like he's thanking him for that moment right there. Like, yo, when he asks for help, he's thanking Kafka for that. I don't know, that's just how I look at it. And you got it with Kafka, even though he won, he's looking at the general and he's saying like, yo, I'm sorry. That damn number 9 was stronger than I could have imagined. Yo, now Tokyo is a huge mess. Even though he stopped the threat, he's apologizing to the general. Of course, the general says, don't worry, it was the same after number 6. We humans have faced countless major catalysms thought to be hopeless. And he says, and every time we strive, we learn, we refine, and forge an even stronger world. What I'm saying? I don't know why, I just really love that moment. And they're just showing different parts of humanity throughout this little phrase that he's saying. He says, we've overcome it, overcome it all too well. And he says like, and we will rebuild. You have it with Kafka and, the director general is just looking at all the destruction. They're just looking at the world. And you have it where the general looks at Kafka and says, I'm giving you a mission. This is where the real fight starts. Help rebuild and continue to face new threats. Officer, Kafka. Now, with him saying that, face new threats, it really makes it feel like the series isn't over. He says face new threats. I'm just really curious if it's more to that than what we're assuming. I don't know, I'm very curious about that. You got it where Kafka looks at him and says like, I'm sorry, I turned my heart into a core, so I can't stay in this world. And then, the general says like, yo, face me. And as Kafka turns around, the general attacks him. He punches the hell out of it and he says, take it. I don't need it anymore. Watch over everyone. And so in a sense, I'm looking at this as the general heart was still intact. Similar to how when Kafka got, absorbed or turned into Kaiju number 8, you had it where those people from the past, they kept his heart in a safe location in case, so that they could return it to Kafka once their mission was over. I feel like something similar happened within the ancient Kaiju or within number 9, where he maybe didn't store it so that the general could return, but he may have stored it for himself for another point in time if he needed to recreate his core. Maybe number 9 was just smart enough to do that. But since the ancient Kaiju took over, somehow it was unable to do so. I don't know. That's where I'm kind of leaning for. Hopefully we get more information on that as the series, or as the final chapter comes out 2 weeks from now. And you got it where the general looks at him, says like, yo, watch over the rest of the world in Kikaru. I like the fact that he had Kikaru separate from from everyone else. Like, it's Kikaru and then it's the world. I like that the general actually did that. And you have it where Kafka's eyes is beginning to close as the general fades away, and then the rest of the ancient Kaiju fades away. You got it where everyone's saying like, yo, the body is breaking down. Everyone evacuate the area, because they don't want to be crushed by the body of the ancient kaiju. And as that's going on, you got Kafka falling down to the ground. You got Kikuru screaming out his name, you know, but she's too weak to go up and catch him, which would have been a callback. If she would have caught him, it would have been a callback to when, you know, he went to save Reno and he came back and he was too exhausted and she caught him when he was about to collapse over. But next thing you know, you see that Reno is the one to catch him. And yo, this panel is just so powerful, because it makes you think back to what I was just talking about when Kafka went to go save Reno when he faced off against number 9, and number 9 beat him so badly because he wanted to take, you know, Reno back as a specimen. And you had it where Kafka was holding him in the arms, and you know, Reno looked at him and said, "I'm sorry, sir. Why am I always forcing him to use his power?" And it just feels like a nice callback to that moment. I don't know, I really like this panel. And then you have it where he lays Kafka down and he asks if he's all right. You know, Kafka's eyes are still closed. Next thing you know, you see the kaiju shell starting to crack off of him. So I wonder if it's going to be one of those things where he can still go into the kaiju form at will, or will he lose that ability entirely? We're going to have to wait and see. But this chapter, it was a good chapter. It was a powerful and good chapter. Now, that's the crazy thing with Kaiju number 8. It feels like we don't get enough pages. This chapter was actually longer than what we normally get. This chapter was 31 pages. We normally only get like 24 to 26. So it was a longer chapter, but it still felt like it wasn't long enough. Maybe it's just me, but with everything we got in this chapter, and don't get me wrong, we got a lot of good stuff. I just feel like the next chapter isn't going to be able to give us everything we need to get a smooth out ending, you know. Like I said, I want to know what the general actually did. How was he able to do it? I get it. It does seem like he gave his heart to Kafka, but how was his heart able to remain separate from the ancient kaiju heart? Or maybe the ancient kaiju ain't know how to turn into a core. I got so many questions with that. We might get it in the next chapter, but I don't feel like we will. I don't feel like we will. But all in all, man, still a great chapter. I like the fake out. It was unexpected. I like the fact that they didn't mention anything about Kafka dying once they achieved their goal. And now that they achieved the goal, it was like, oh, his life was over. So that's crazy. So I don't know. I feel like the main reason he gave his heart to Kafka is the fact that, you know, his wife is gone. He wants to go be with his wife, and he feels like his daughter is strong enough to, you know, take care of herself, as well as she has great people around her that will help take care of her. I'm imagining that's why. We're going to have to wait and see. I wonder if the next chapter is going to be like a time skip chapter, or if it's going to take place right after this moment. Very curious. Or we might even get a time skip midway through. Very curious on how it's going to end. But let me know what y'all think about this one, and whether or not we got enough time for everything else we need. And I'll catch y'all in the next one. Peace. Journey, man, but we're finally at the end of Kaiju number 8.
My name is Kafka Hibino.
What's up, y'all? We back at it, and we finally have the final chapter of Kaiju number 8, chapter 129. And we had to wait, 2 weeks before we got this final chapter. But I will say, I'm glad that they made the chapter long. It was 53 pages, but at the same time, even though we got more pages than usual, in fact, a little bit over double the page count, I still feel like there's a lot of questions that were left unanswered when it comes to this series. We still didn't get all of the kaijus identified. I want to say it was 4 of them that we don't even know what they look like and what they possibly are capable of. But I will say, with the way this series ended, there's definitely room for a part 2 at some point in time. I feel like maybe the mangaka just needed a little break because of how detailed the art is in these panels, just in general for Kaiju number 8. It probably was a bit overwhelming, and they probably need a break, and they might return at some point in time with a Kaiju number 8 part 2, just based off how this ending is. Now, will I say this was a great ride? I will say it was. It was a pretty great ride. I enjoyed this series for the most part. There wasn't too many chapters that I disliked. Was this a good ending? That's one of those things that's up in the air. There are parts about it that I like, and then there's parts of it I didn't like. We're about to dive right into it though. Make sure you subscribe and hit the bell for all notifications. So as we get to the first page, you got it with Kafka. He wakes up. Apparently he's been unconscious for 4 months. He's been in the bed, hospital bed, for 4 months, and the only thing he can remember is seeing the back of the general as he was fading away. And you know what I'm saying, he felt like he should have disappeared along with number 8, but that didn't happen. Now, this is where I say, like, I like some of the ending and then I don't. I really wish he had like a sentence, a line alone to be delivered to Kikaru. That's one thing I just don't understand why that wasn't included. I know he says like look after everyone, Kafka, in the previous chapter, you know, including my daughter, but I wanted him to have like, yo, let my daughter know I've seen everything she accomplished through the eyes of number 9, and tell her I've never been more proud. If we could have got something like that, man, that shit would have been, I wanted that, yo, because this whole time Kikaru has been seeking the approval of her father, and really she doesn't know if she's got it or not. So if something like that was to be said, I just think it would have been an epic moment for the series. I mean, you guys can let me know if maybe I'm just, you know, wanting too much. You can let me know. But you have it where Kafka wakes up. He's been passed out for the past 4 months, and because of that, he looks completely different. When he looks at himself in the mirror, he doesn't even recognize himself. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I like this look for Kafka with the little rough shave. You know what I'm saying? The hair's a lot longer and wilder. I really like this look. In fact, this could have been his main character look. But you got it where he wakes up. He's eating his food. He's getting everything together, getting himself together, and he's just researching everything that happened and, you know, through that final battle, how, you know what I'm saying, a total of 1,300 kaiju emerged. 18 of them were Daikaiju. Then you had 7 of them were identified kaijus, and he's just looking at the total damages and how it wasn't as much as they would expect given the amount of kaiju that emerged. But you know what I'm saying, that's a good thing. Then you have it with Kafka. He gets dressed up, and as he's getting dressed up, he's putting on his uniform. He sees that, you know, number 8 is still within him. You know, that hatred that was fading away is still within him. And he's like, why is this thing still here? And then you have the funny moment. You know, they got to put the comedy in the chapters for Kaiju number 8. But you have the funny moment where he's like, I wonder why it's still here. You know what? It probably was the general's doing. You probably had it where the hatred was about to disappear. The general popped up like, I won't let you guys go. Nah, I'm going to take your place. I'm going to go. You guys stay with Kafka. The world may still need you to defend it. And when you think about it, that is some shit the general would do. That is some shit the general actually would do. But with that being said, does that mean the general actually had a chance to return but chose not to? And instead it let number 8, you know what I'm saying, live instead of returning back to life? I'm very curious about that. Another unanswered question as far as everything that went down with number 9 and the ancient kaiju. Is just a lot of unanswered questions with that. But of course you got it where Mina comes to meet Kafka at the hospital and begins to take him back to you know, headquarters. You see that the Division 3 base is rebuilt better than ever. Remember, it got destroyed in the battle against number 10, and you see they improved a lot of the headquarters. And as Kafka is returning back to the number 3 division new headquarters, he's just reminiscing about his journey throughout the defense force. He even goes to the parking space number 55 where he first met Kikaru, and she says that's her lucky number. You actually see the barracks where they ran around the track and how you know, Iharu and all of them was leaving him in the dust. He thought they were cheating. He actually looks at the bath area that, you know, he's just reminiscing about all the different places throughout the 3rd division. He even gets to the part where he remembers when he was arrested, and you have it where Reno says like, yo, I have faith that you'll come back. and you just have him reflecting on everything that happens throughout his journey. And it was such a beautiful panel with just the back with Kafka, current Kafka, and then you look in the background, you see past events of Kafka. I just think that was a nice panel, beautiful panel. But of course you got it where he says like, yo, I'm finally come back home. And as he gets to the front door, you see all of the squad members that we know and love, even the platoon leaders. And it's crazy because this panel right here is showing more characters than we don't usually get to see throughout Squad 3. Like we've seen them here and there, but I feel like they paid more respect to him in this final panel. And I think that's due to how well they were received in the anime for season 1. Don't forget season 2 starts this weekend, so I imagine that's the main reason they pushed the final chapter back to this week. But anyway, you got it where he walks there and you see everyone waiting on his return. You got Hoshina there, you got Kikaru there, Reno, Mina, Iharu. You got all of them there, even the platoon leaders. You got all of them there waiting to greet Kafka as he returned. And then you just have this really nice, heartfelt moment with Reno and Kafka where he says, yo, glad you have came back. I knew you would return. I had faith that you would return. And it just goes to what he said when Kafka first left the 3rd Division while he was under arrest. He said, I have faith that you will return, sir. And to see Kafka actually do that and come back and Reno give him those words, you have it where your boy Kafka, he gets a little emotional. He starts like, just tearing up a little bit. Of course, Kikaru was making fun of him. And he says like, yeah, I'm glad to be back. It was just a really touching moment. And then you have it where Iharu just like charges right at the old man, Kafka. And it's just like, yo, he's been in the hospital for 4 months. Like, yo, the dude, he ain't in tip-top shape. His body, honestly, I'm surprised he could walk after being unconscious for 4 months. That's one of those situations where you would think you would have to, learn how to walk again, and you wouldn't be out the hospital the same day. But of course, you have it where, Kafka goes to tell us how everything is going within the 3rd Division, how, you got it where Iharu, Ao, as well as Reno, and the other guy, they all got promoted to platoon leaders due to how powerful they are, to the point where they can rival, Division 1, which is Gein's team, which I wish they would have given us just a little bit more on Gein. But you got it where they were expecting this year of applicants to be lower than last year because of the catalysm that happened with number 9. But instead, you have it where a lot of people join. So Mina and Hoshina, the vice captain, they're very busy with office work, and you just have that look on their faces where they're just like, yo, this is just too much. You have it where Kikaru, which I don't know how to feel about this, you have it where Kikaru, she returns to the 1st Division as the vice captain for Gein. Now, I would have liked for her to stay with the 3rd Division just on the strength of that's how she became part of the defense force. That was just her crew. But for her to go to the 1st Division, I get why, because she's chasing the dream of becoming her father, stronger than her father and her mother. But at the same time, I figured she would stay around with Kafka. But for whatever reason, she chose to go to the 1st Division. Like I said, I don't know how I feel about that. Let me know how y'all feel about it. You have it where she's dedicated to becoming the strongest in hopes of surpassing her mom and dad. And I would say she's already surpassed them after everything she displayed within that 9th catalysm, event. I would say she already surpassed them. But maybe in her mind, she still feels like she has a long way to go. Let me know, do y'all think she surpassed her parents? And then you have it where, the vice captain actually moves up and he becomes like, he goes even higher in the standings and rankings, and you have it where your boy Gein is upset about that. But you have it where Kikaru tells him like, yo, if you move up as well, there'll be no one strong enough to replace you. And she's kind of playing mind games with Gein, and Gein says, yeah, you're right, I'm needed at my position. So you have it where, she's the vice captain now, the new vice captain now. Gein is okay with it, and he's kind of like fanning himself. I would have liked to have more interactions with Gein to really know how he feel about what took place. Does he feel like the general was avenged? Like, that's one thing I would say this ending didn't really give me. It didn't give me any closure for Kikaru and Gein, like how they felt about number 9 being defeated after what happened, or after what he did to the general. I would have loved like a dedicated panel, just Gein expressing himself like, well, General, I finally took out the monster, or I helped take out the monster that took you down. It was a hard fought battle, you know, something along that line. Just a nice speech, but we didn't really get that. You find out that all of the you know, identified kaijus from that event, except for, you know, number 10, of course, that was already weaponized, has been in storage, and at some point they may actually be used. We don't know yet. That's, like I said, that's what kind of leaves the possibility for part 2. You also have it where they say number 9 is held under number 6 cold storage, level 6 cold storage, meaning no one could get to it. They're not going to weaponize it because they probably fear that it could probably go wrong and it could become something even more dangerous. And I imagine that could be part 2. Like, imagine someone gets to this weapon, or imagine someone weaponizes it because they think they need it, and in the process of weaponizing it, number 9 takes control over that person's body, because we know number 9 is very smart and it could figure a way around, even though it's just a weapon now, and that's very possible. But they locked it down, and they're not planning on using it. You know, it's under investigation. They might even try to destroy it at some point. But you got it with Kafka. You know, it takes place after that, where he's in a store buying some food. You could see that his kaiju detection ability is going off, something we haven't seen in quite some while, where he detects a kaiju. He comes outside, he reports it to the defense force. You have it where Hoshina tells him, like, yo, the world is still trying to find out who, everything they can about number 8. You can't allow people to know who you are. So apparently they're keeping, Japan is keeping number 8's identity a secret from the world. People are coming up with their own speculations, as they would in the real world, but no one has any concrete proof about number 8. So that's when you have Hoshina telling him, like, yo, you can't let nobody find out your identity or you'll be in danger. And you have it where Kafka says, like, yo, I won't transform. I'll just keep doing what I can to protect people until y'all return. And you have it where Hoshino says, don't do anything stupid. So you have this moment where this kaiju is about to attack this kid, this young girl, this young boy, kids. And you have it where it's kind of a callback to what happened to Mina and Kafka at the beginning of the series, where you have the girl standing up, pretty much doing what Kafka did, saying, like, yo, I'm going to join the defense force. This is no time to be afraid of a guy like this. She's standing up to this giant kaiju. And you have it where the boy gets courage as well, saying, like, yeah, that's right, we can't run away. And you got it where they're about to face off against this giant kaiju, just two normal kids with a stick in their hand, and the kaiju is about to attack them. But you have it where Kafka managed to save them. And these kids know who Kafka is. He is a hero. Like, they know he's part of the 3rd division, and they start saying, like, yo, you're part of the analyst team. Like, yo, you're a squad platoon leader. So Kafka has become a squad leader, a platoon squad leader, which I am happy to see that. But you have it where Kafka says, like, yo, I'll make sure you guys get home in one piece, but make sure to keep this a secret. And then you have it where he, he transformed to Kaiju number 8 in front of these kids, and these kids are shocked. They're surprised, but he's entrusting them to keep his secret. And he says he continues to fight on as Kaiju number 8. That's what has me thinking that there's a chance that we could get a continuation to this series. But all in all, man, amazing final chapter. Like I said, it's not perfect. There's a few things I would have liked to have seen. The Gin and Kikaru stuff, for example, those were probably my biggest things. And maybe to have another interaction with number 9 as it fade away, or just an interaction while it's being held in captivity, just maybe showcasing that it's so evolved, or so smart, so much smarter than regular kaijus, that even though it's dead, it still has a mind of its own. I would have liked to have seen something like that, but you never know. With the way the series ends, there's a good chance that we could get a part 2 at some point in time. But let me know your thoughts down below, and if you like the video, hit the bell. Hoping you have a great day or night wherever you are. This your boy Nero Megaman, signing out. Peace.